All right, we are recording.
Good morning, everyone. Today is February 13th. The time is 9:01. This is the meeting of the Planning Advisory Board. We'll call the meeting to order. The first order on the agenda is the roll call. Lawrence Blevins.
Present.
Michael DePietro.
Present.
Edward Evans.
Oh.
Van Mason. Elizabeth Rossborg.
Present.
And myself, Gus Kurtz. With 4 members present, we have a quorum. At this time, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. At this time, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from January 28th?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries.
Gus, you should note that Ed has joined us now, so your roll
Okay,
call.
thank you. Thank you. How about Van? Do we see Van yet? No. Good morning, Edward.
Good morning. Good morning. I was the one that seconded, by the way, just so you all know.
Okay, wonderful.
Nice.
Okay. Today's agenda consists of the Capital Improvement Program budget presentations from the various county departments. We'll start with an overview of the fiscal year 2027 budget from the Budget Office. At this time, the presentation of the Budget Office will be with Chris Trumbauer, Naomi McAllister, and Huja Hassim. So at this time, the floor is yours.
Great. Well, thanks, everyone. I'm Chris Trumbauer. I'm the budget officer, and as Gus mentioned, joined by Naomi and Huja. I'm going to give you guys a quick introduction and overview, and then turn it over to Naomi's capable hands. Basically, I want to set this up for you guys. We've got a pretty veteran PAB, so we don't need to go into all the details of how and why and what. But the general flavor of this requested CIP budget is you're going to see there's virtually no new projects. There's only a handful of new projects, and those are largely to address safety concerns or something that was a prior commitment. So where we've really concentrated is on the existing program. You will see some new phases brought in or some changes to existing projects. That's where most of the action is. But because this is the last year of County Executive Pittman's administration, and because we want to concentrate on finishing what we started and leaving some flexibility for the next administration to come in and set their priorities, we didn't want to add a whole lot of new things, to consider. There's one big exception, which is not really within our control, but the Board of Education has submitted a very ambitious capital program. So as if you're looking at the overall numbers, and Naomi will show you, they do seem pretty high to reconcile my comments of not a lot of new stuff. But that's because the board is positioning itself for its kind of next round of big projects as we work to finish the Old Mill Master Plan and the other existing E-Class projects. So the other thing I want to do, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of context, is give an extra special thanks to Naomi this year. The county is working through an upgrade and transition of its financial system. And Naomi is one of the lead point people for the budget office in that. So in addition to working full time putting this together, she's also been on a side quest to make sure that everything works out with our new financial system. So just in front of you guys, I wanted to give her a little extra acknowledgement. So she's going to lead us through the rest of the presentation. Huja is going to give us a little affordability update. But I want to thank the board for its service and let you know that myself and the whole budget office is here to answer questions or address any needs you have throughout the process. So thanks to Chair Kurtz, thanks to everybody. And with that, I will turn it back over to Naomi.
Thank you, Chris. Naomi McAllister, Senior Budget Analyst with the Office of Budget. Can everyone see my screen? Okay,
Yes.
great. So I'm here this morning to present to you the FY27 Capital Budget and Program Overview for the department request. But first, what I would like to do is pass it over to my colleague, Huja Hassim, who's going to go through the debt affordability guidelines. So take it away, Huja.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Huja Hassim, Budget Administrator. I will quickly go through our affordability status. And as you all know, we monitor 4 important debt ratios or indexes, which all other jurisdictions will look at closely to monitor their debt affordability. And they are debt service to operating revenue, debt to estimated full values ratio, debt to personal income ratio, and debt per capita. Next slide. So this slide shows 2 most important ratios, which is utmost important, especially as the left-hand side, debt service to operating revenue. This is basically your debt to income ratio when you're buying a home kind of situation. And our guideline is 11.5. Basically, this is divided by how much debt service we have every year, divided by how much operating revenue we have. That our guideline basically saying we cannot exceed 11.5% on that. Right-hand side, debt to full value. This full value means a real property tax assessable base. Basically, we divide total debt by our market or assessment value of real properties in Arundel County. So that a real and personal, by the way, that guideline is 2%. Next slide. And then left-hand side here, debt to personal income. And this is basically dividing total outstanding debt by our personal income in the county. And that guideline is we cannot exceed by more than 4%. And debt per capita. Debt per capita is basically outstanding debt divided by population. And this is a fluid number every year because the consumer price index changes. And our estimate at this point is $3,943 per person in Arundel County. That's our guideline. Cannot exceed that amount. Next slide. And this is very informative slide showing you a couple of data points starting 2009. So if you see right now the budget presented to you, assuming between 160 to 170 million dollar new debt of one authority, and this basically shows you where we stand historically speaking, the basically last 15-16 years. As you see, we used to 100 million, then we increased to 115, and then 120, and we in the 2016 fiscal year we changed our debt amortization from 20 years debt to 30 years debt. That year we were able to increase it from 120 to jump to 145, and slowly we migrated to 163, 160, and 170s. That is new authority. And debt per capita used to be a stagnant number with the thousands, like rounded. And then since we had to change it every year as inflation make this number bigger every year. So we starting at, I think at fiscal 2024, we tied the number to the CPI. So now this year changes every year, as you can see. And the right-hand side, debt service as a percent of revenue, we used to have a 9% ratio guideline, and then we increased to 10. And when we changed our bond or amortization to 30 years, we changed it to 11.5, and that is the highest suggested by our council bond consultants. So we're gonna keep that right there. So, okay, so next slide. And as I said earlier, debt to income ratio is very important. So you can see this number in here is this historical actual where we stand in terms of our debt service to operating ratio actual experience. We see 9% in the past, and then now it's this number coming down as you know, inflation induced personal income grows, real property growth. So revenue is growing faster than the debt service. So that number is coming down, and that's a good thing. You see that this number goes up during the recession time when revenues stop growing, but your debt service will be there because your capital budget is already approved and everything. You have to issue the debt. So it's good to have some range like this, but lower is better. So we are good on that. And just as a perspective, if 1% change on this ratio basically means about $21.1 million new debt service, that $21 million debt service usually translated into about $300 million of new bond. So that is just a current interest rate of 5.5%. If we have to raise this by 1% in actuality, then that means we probably added $300 million new debt to the county. Next slide. Okay, this slide, it's like a one-pager, but it's a very important slide for bond rating agencies, everybody who looking at next 5 year of how all this ratio stands. And so as you can see on the top, new authority, 160, 160, then 165, 170. We're growing a little bit. And the 4 guidelines ratio in the box, debt service as a percent of revenue, as you can see, highest here we see is 8.2%. And debt services full revenue, full value is guideline is 2, and you don't see more than 1.5%. And debt service as a personal income guideline is 4%. You don't see anything above 3.1. And debt per capita guideline is 4,000. You don't see more than $3,400 in there. So that means everything's under guideline, and that is a good thing. But I want to point out if the debt service number right on the black line is shows so little right now, 162 million, and then it will be jump hugely to 198 million. The reason of that is we have last couple of years we authorized about 160 million new debt, but because capital spending it takes time, we haven't issued the bond for those authorized bonds yet. If you don't issue the bond yet, you don't have to pay the debt service. So debt service is low, but on the books, we have huge $600 million already authorized, but not issued debt. And in this model's perspective, we assume that debt going to be issued next 2 years, meaning those projects will be done next 2 years. And that's why your debt service jumps from 162 million to 198 million dollars. So that is one explanation. And then outstanding debt also grows to 2.1 billion at the 5 year from 5 years from now, and that's something. And that's just basically assuming whatever we approved as of today, plus those 160 to 170 new authorities added. And also general fund revenues. Modest growth next. Our assumption is usually 2.5% to 3% growth in revenue. Assessable base roughly 3% growth. Total personal income also 3 to 4% range in the growth. Population is growing roughly about 0.8% for the county last 10 years. So if you have any question, I can answer later, but that's some information on that. In terms of bond rating, as you all know, we are now AAA county, and then that's great. The whole reason of that is one is counties conservative budgeting and then responsible fiscal management. And I don't want to read all this. You can read it yourself. But if something happens, we're going to downgrade your bond rating. That's like on the bottom each of these. There is some factors that could lead to a downgrade, and we need to pay attention to those to make sure we not fall into those categories so that we still have our AAA bond rating. So that can conclude this. And is there any questions?
Board members, do we have any questions?
Great.
Good job.
Nope. Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you, Huja.
Thank
Okay,
you,
so
Hooja.
just going to get started here. This report here is called the Project Class Summary, and it basically presents a high overview of the FY27 department request. It represents all funding sources across all classes. There are 4 main funds: the general fund in this top section here. We have waste management, utility, and watershed. And of course, we've got our budget year request here, fiscal year 27, and then the 5 program years going out. So the general fund department request is about $667 million, but the whole entire CIP is requesting $936 million in fiscal year 27. And the reason it's so high is there's still a couple of those big projects that we're just finishing up. Specifically in public safety, you can see here, we've got Jessup Fire Station at $26 million. We do have the Joint 911 Center at $53 million, and we have the new Northern Police District for $27 million. So all of that's hitting the public safety class. And then, of course, we have the largest component of the FY27 request is Board of Education, $227 million. This does include new requests, so keep that in mind. But a couple of the really big ones that we're just finishing up on are Old Mill Middle School North for $48 million. We've got Old Mill High School at $71 million. And of course, we have that multi-year recurring capital project building systems renovation for $33 million. So there's still really some good projects in there that are just finishing up in fiscal year 27. We do have a little blip for community college. They're at 33. They've got Dragon for 29 million. And then just moving across the screen here for fiscal year 32, I just wanted to point out some of the big things that are coming online. So we've got the Fire Training Academy, we have Millersville Landfill, and we have the transmission main at Maryland Route 32 and Meade for $26 million. So those are some of the big projects that are creating that $936 million number. So as I mentioned before, that overview included new requests. So I did want to kind of break that down into a little more detail for you. So we had 20 new capital project requests, 18 of which are in the general fund, and 10 of those are in the Board of Education. So the Board of Education's new requests over the 6-year budget and program total about $775 million. The total new requests across all funds and all classes is $875 million. So you can see here, Board of Education wins it again. 89% of the new requests come from the Board of Education. How does this relate to bonds and pay-go? So $875 million in new requests. How do we pay for it? There's $600 million of bonds and pay-go. So that's basically funded by the county. And again, the bulk of that is Board of Ed. It's $525 million, and I'll go into a little more detail later on. But I just wanted to show you 20 new capital projects, 18 in the general fund. 10 of them are Board of Ed, and of course we have community college. Our annual dredging project, animal services facility is a new one. Recreation and Parks, Crofton Park improvements, library, Mountain Road Library relocation. And then of course our roads and bridges class with the College Parkway improvements, Crownsville transit improvements, and Edwin Rayner Boulevard improvements. So those are the new, but again, what really happens in this is it's always those 10 large projects that take up just a significant portion of the CIP. And this slide is just showing you that. In the 6-year total, $842 million are coming from 10 projects. In fiscal year 27, in the general fund, now it's like $667 million. 335 of it is just coming from these 10 projects. So It might be a little challenging this year because we do have a lot of really great projects just finishing up in fiscal year 27.
And Naomi, if I can jump in for just 1 second to remind the board, and I know we have members from the auditor's office attending as well. The administration doesn't, we don't alter the request from the component units. So the Board of Ed, the library, the community college, those are the submissions that they've given to us, basically unchanged. So we recognize that the total amount of the CIP is well beyond what we'll be able to do. And as usual, we'll work with you guys throughout the process to get it down closer to the affordability guidelines for final decisions. But because the Board of Ed is such a giant slice of that pie that Naomi showed at the previous slide, I just wanted to remind everybody that that's how it works with the component units.
Okay. So in your packet, there's also a section called the Funding Source Summary Report. And what it basically tells you is how are we going to pay for this? And it's broken up into the project funds like all the other reports. This is just a sample page here, but you can see it starts with the General County Fund. And as you know, there are basically 5 main funding sources. We have bonds, we have PAYGO, we have impact fees, we have grants and aid, and then there's a bucket for other funding sources. So bonds, we've got our PPI bonds here, $250 million. The remaining $12 million this year, right? It seems like it's been going on quite a while, but it's just finishing up. Moving down to impact fees, just a reminder that these are soft numbers here. The impact fee process is kind of in reconciliation right now. And we start to really sharpen those numbers up around, well, end of February, beginning of March. So these are placeholders. And as we move through the PAB process here, you'll see me updating those numbers to basically increase them and help support the CIP in another way. Moving down the screen, we do have grants and aid, and there's a funding source called IAC, Interagency Commission, and that is basically state grants for the Board of Education. And what I want to point out here is in fiscal year 27, there's an estimated $62 million request to the state for fiscal year 27. Now, on average, we get between about $25 and $30 million from the IAC. This year, it's kind of looking, it's going to be about $27 million, but we won't get that 90% report until I think it's mid-February. So again, as new information comes in, these numbers will start to really solidify. But I did just want to let you know that, that $60 million is going to go down. And so the county will have to supplement that with some other funding sources to move forward with the Board of Education request, if you choose to do so. And again, this is just the final section of the general fund. We have this section called Other. And it has, bond premium in here. Of course, we have our VLT funding in here. Again, these are soft numbers. We've got some placeholders in here. As this information comes in, and I believe it's more in March that we get VLT, those numbers will adjust and we'll kind of recalculate debt affordability after that. These numbers start to come in. And TIF funding. So those are some of the other funding sources. And of course, it breaks it out by each fund. So solid waste continues on. And in your binder, it goes to the utility fund and then watershed. And so this screen here is what's the county's portion of it? How can we pay for this based on the affordability guidelines that Hooja just reviewed with you all? This is the summary table. So in fiscal year 27, as he mentioned, we have $160 million in bonds available to us. That number does go up to 165 and 29. And then in the out years, it increases to $170 million. So fiscal year 27, we've got 160. We also have some savings realized from last year of about $7.3 million. So we're kind of putting that back into the program. And then we have $194 million of PAYGO. Yay! Thank you, Hooja. And that gives us $361 million of affordability for the FY27 budget year. But if you were to compare that to fiscal year 27's approved program, of 400 million, we're still over affordability by $40 million. So we do have some work to do here. If you compare it to the department request of 500 million, we're over affordability by 140 million. But I do want to point out, keep in mind here that for fiscal year 27, although we're over affordability, $37 million of that is associated with new requests. So just to give you some insight as to like, where do we go from here? Because if you move across the screen, you see this number here, $950 million, which is probably the largest one you all have seen. We usually try and bring it in at 500 million. So this is pretty significant. But I just want to point out, we'll work through it. $600 million of that is associated with new capital project requests. So I just wanted to put that out there, and don't get too worried. We have, a process that we can go through to help work that number down. And I just want to give a shout out to Matt Fleming and Resilience Authority, our partner in capital programs. Here's a list of some of the capital projects that we are working with the Resilience Authority. Got the EV charging stations, Glen Burnie Plaza. We do have a couple of smaller stream shoreline erosion control projects, along with Beverly Triton and Edgewater. And this is just a map here of all their county-wide projects that they're currently working on. 50.3 million for resilient infrastructure since inception. That's fabulous. That's 32 projects. So again, I just wanted to give a shout out to our partner. They have been wonderful, and we really enjoy working with them and look forward to doing many more projects in the future with them. Okay, so this section, I just wanted to do a little bit of administrative reminders. It is an annual process, so trying to get back on track here and just dust off the old brain cells. The main report that you all usually work off of is called the Schedule 2 Highlighter Report. That report basically compares the FY26 approved budget to the department request. And you can see that here. This first line is approved. The second line is department request. And this report is structured by class here. So you can see this is general county class. And the blue is the department that will be presenting. So if aging were to go forward, you would see all their projects listed underneath in project number order. And their presentation should follow this order just because it makes it a little easier to move through the information. I did want to remind that in capital projects that end in 00, those are previously approved, council approved capital projects. And those that end in not 00, or say, for example, 26 or 27, those are new project requests. And the last two characters indicate the year that capital project came forward. So if it says 25, it means that this is a new project request that has come before you 2-3 times. And it still has not yet been approved. The other thing I wanted to point out is that I've added page numbers on the highlighter report. So I know departments do their best job to try and get the page numbers on the presentations. It can get really crazy as we come out with different versions. So the page number indicated on the highlighter report is the page number you will find in your Schedule 4 one-pager report. So it'll make it a little easier to move between the two reports. Just a reminder that cells in gray are items that are different from the prior fiscal year approved. So you can see down here with septic system enhancement in fiscal year 32, it's gray because there was no budget 32 last year. So it's new, it's coming online, it's gray. The final thing I want to mention about the Schedule 2 is, like last year, I've highlighted it based on additional funding sources. So blue represents grants. So if a project has grants on it, I will highlight it in blue so that you know that there's some additional funding supporting that capital project other than county funding. Yellow represents other funding sources, and red indicates impact fees. And sometimes you'll see multiple colors that'll look like a rainbow, but that's just because that capital project has many alternate funding sources leveraging it. So I did want to point that information out to you. Like I said, it seemed to be really helpful for you all last year, and so I continued that again this year. Schedule 4 is the one-pager report. Each capital project has one page, and this basically explains the capital project on a high level. That top section there basically explains the scope. What is this project going to do? On the right-hand side, it basically classifies it. So this one's the general county class, and I've circled this is the Department of Aging. Okay. Another important area for this report here is changes from prior year. This section will tell you, did the department, are they requesting a change in scope? Is there a scheduling shift? Is it getting put out further or being pulled forward? Or is there a cost increase? You will see that information here. And that's important. Those are usually the questions that we get. So some of that information or those answers are located here. Moving down, we've got the phases of the capital project. Is it planning? Is it construction? And the lower section is funding. How do we pay for it? And this one's general county bonds. It could be PAYGO. And, you know, of course, you've got your budget year here. And the last thing I want to point out about this page is this lower section here that's really, really small and italicized. It's actually more or less than fiscal year 26 approved budget. And what that means is it costing more money than when we had originally been approved, or is it costing less? So in this case, there's a savings realized that we didn't anticipate last year. And so that it's actually less than approved budget because last year it was 0. So that's the one pager on a high level. And again, that's on the Schedule 2 highlighter report page number is for this report here. So, and the last report I want to touch on, it's in your binders. It's the funded unfunded project report. And so again, it's by county class. It compares the approved program to the department request. And you can see that in fiscal year 27, general county class is asking for $12 million more than the approved budget. Well, how did we get there? This section here basically says, how did we do it? So we've got a new capital project that's, you know, affecting it. Or if there was a scope change, it would be in this section. This section lets you know timing changes, or is money pulling forward or in the out years. The next one is cost estimate increases with no scope change. And so you see all those capital projects disclosed here. And then the last section is decreases. So these projects actually went down and it was not anticipated for. So that is how you get the $12 million. That explains the more or less than the approved budget. The next section of this report is the unfunded request report. And this is where we disclose to you the items that the department originally put forward, but mostly due to affordability, they did not make it through to this department request, the one that's going to be presented to you here today. But we did want to disclose those items, and you can see those in this section of the report here. In each project class, like public safety or recreation and parks, they have their own 2 pages disclosing that information to you all. And so that's the FY27 budget overview. I'd like to open it up to questions if you all have any.
Thank you, Naomi. Board members, do we have any questions? No questions? All right. Well, with that, we're going to start with our presentations. If there's any council members or council members, staff that are online, we thank you very much for visiting with us this morning. And board members, I would like to stress the importance of asking questions. So if there's a presentation and it's done, please jump in, and any questions you have, now's the time to ask. So with that, Jesse, do we have fire up first, right?
We sure do. I can see that they're all on the call, so I'm promoting them to panelists. So as soon as they're all in, we can get started. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Chief, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, good, good. Well, thank you for visiting with us this morning, and we'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. Are we your first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, way to start with the best. I'll do a quick introduction of my team. It's really good to see you all. I never get to see you, but now, all the squares are looking very familiar. So with me, I have Deputy Chief Tom Young, who oversees our budget. Also joining him is Division Chief Michael Faltzcraft, and then our amazing budget analyst, Miss Starlene Flynn. So this is a team that's been working hard on the budget. I'm going to keep us on schedule or get us right back there. I see we're 6 minutes in. So I'm going to go right to the presentation. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So let me share my screen. Y'all are going to see yourselves for a minute.
And for our members, it is page 6 of the highlighted schedule.
And we'll go right here. And then is everybody seeing that okay?
Yes.
Okay. There y'all are. All right. Well, that's not exactly what we want. We just finished, right? It bumped me to the end of the show. Okay, let's try this now. All right, there we are. So for those of you that may not recall, this is just a snapshot of our department. You can see the amount of uniformed career. Just to jog your memories, all firefighters in Anne Arundel County are also EMTs or paramedics. So they're medical and fire suppression trained. You can see the what we do in 2025, just an idea of our workload. It's busy and it just keeps getting busier, but we're trying to catch up. And then on the right there, we're 31 fire stations, 22 of them are county owned, 9 of them are volunteer owned. All the stations have career firefighters in them, and then there's a complement of stations that also have volunteer and career. So we are the pinnacle of what we call a combination fire department. Here's the projects we're going to talk about, and I know that's a lot of words on there. So reoccurring right at the top, things that we just kind of keep running through to get through the day-to-day business. Current projects that we are looking to come to fruition or we are in the process of. And then this is going to be your favorite slide. Right down there, it says no additional funding request. So these are things that are already on the move or have been past projects, and we are living and working hard out of those stations. So the reoccurring projects, here's the breakdown. Again, we don't have new projects, new changes, there are price adjustments, things along those lines, but we always have these 3. So repair and renovation of our volunteer fire stations. This is what we do in conjunction with our volunteers because we have county employees in these buildings. And we certainly have rules and laws that make sure we have a healthy work environment for our career and volunteer members. Fire suppression tanks. These are the tanks that are put in communities where we don't have hydrants. So this is how we draft water when we need water for suppression efforts. And infrastructure repairs. These are these big projects, just like you all as homeowners that come up that you don't expect. The air conditioning goes out, the generator fails, you get a crack in your driveway. We call that our front bay or our front aprons. So these are these big projects that come up that we don't necessarily plan for, but we know we got to fix. So here's the breakdown of what that looks like. For the 3, this gives you the page number if you all are following along. Page 51, 52, and 57 if you want to earmark those. So current fire station projects and funding, and I will just say not only fire station, you all have seen the Fire Training Academy come through here. This has been our baby for years and years. We'll talk about Arundel Station, Watchapel, and Jessup. And again, your favorite slide, here it is. There's only one of them that looks like this. So, but that's because a majority of these, Cape Sinclair is the only one that we'll be getting ready to move into groundbreaking in the spring. Crownsville, we're getting close to. Jacobsville and Galesville, we have been in those stations living and functioning. So this is just a more of a chart breakdown, so you know the locations of them, the names of the station based on the county location. The number in parentheses is the fire station number. If you hear people say Station 5, that's Watchapel. The condition in that middle band there, this is a study that was done before I came into this office, which I'm going on my 8th year as fire chief. And so this was a condition which helps us decide which stations need the most help, need to be replaced, obviously, unless we have catastrophic needs that, of course, pop up. Another view of the timeline, so we can see kind of how it's broken down. Again, same stations in here with Crownsville, Cape Sinclair, Jessup, Arundel, Watchapel, and the Fire Training Academy. Again, nothing new has entered the queue from when I spoke to you all last year. There's just been some adjustments from year to year, and truly the under construction piece that you can tell. The biggest project, of course, is the Fire Training Academy. So here it is. I should be very focused to say it is listed as a Fire Training Academy. This is all hazards training. This will be every bit of training, including our EMS training, including our in-service training, all of our mandatory medical training, all of our mandatory license training. So this is everything. It's not just new recruits, which is the main thing it needs to handle. But it is everything that we need to keep our workforce up to date, current, valid within the state, all the requirements. And as you can see, the location, General's Highway. If you've heard of the Joint 911 project, this is the same shared site for Fire Training Academy and the Joint 911. Here's the project cost breakdowns. Certainly not a cheap project. We know that. It's taking time and energy. The plans have been developed, very thoughtful. But of course, time equals money. So, you know, we're trying to be good stewards of the dollar and making sure that we have a usable product that will last us 50 or 70 years. But again, here is the timeline broken down that matches the previous chart. Arundel Fire Station 7, that is a current picture of the station. It's a much older, smaller. Project costs are listed there on the bottom. We do have the land right around the corner. Location is extremely important to where we place fire stations based on our response times. So you can see this will be a replacement station, 4-bay drive-through, which is our standard for our station design. This station is very heavily combination. So there are a lot of needs there to make sure we have enough room for our volunteers and we have enough room for our career. One of the big things about this is the sewer and water infrastructure, and this will get us on to county sewer water. We struggle with that at this location, and we are maxed out in size. Watchapel. Again, constructing a replacement station. A lot of this is based on growth. For any of you that know this, Gambrels, Two Rivers, you know, Crofton, Watchapel area, it just keeps getting busier and busier, and the call volume is showing that. So this is a needed replacement based on infrastructure, but also needing to get more resources to this area. It makes more sense to update this and remodel this to fit more resources than to even have a conversation about adding an additional station. Here are the dollar amounts associated with the project cost. Station 29, this has been a great conversation over the years in our partnership with LDC, our Video Lottery Committee. The top picture is the current fire station. For those of you that haven't seen pink tile in bathrooms in a while, we have a historical site set up there for pink tiles in the bathroom. It's a little bit of a throwback, but certainly, you know, I can joke about it, but the need is high. We have the land for the new station, which is 3 miles or within 3 miles from this location. So our response times will be looking good. And we're into plans and design. All of these designs are very similar. We are certainly being cost effective by modeling these stations very similar and just adjusting to the community needs or to the employee needs. as we look at one station to another, but we're not redesigning it every time. So there's the project cost on the bottom for the station. Crownsville and Cape Sinclair, long-awaited Crownsville. If any of you have driven by Sunrise Beach General Highway, this is a beautiful, beautiful building. We took a lot of time and thought with the neighbors, with the HOA groups, with the community groups who really wanted a building that matched their community. And in their words, not mine, didn't look like a mini grocery store or a mini Costco, or they really wanted it to reflect the neighborhood. So we are in the process. We're actually loading stuff right now in the building. We haven't started loading firefighters or apparatus, but that is very, very soon to be happening. And that station will be up and running. And then Cape Sinclair, we went through a bunch of hurdles there, and this will be our next one to break ground and get going. Very strong partnership with our volunteers, and so this will be another strong combination fire station. I will pop out of the screen share, and let's see here. Open the floor for questions. All right, are we back?
We're back. Thank you very much.
Okay, so myself, any of the team is available. I try not to go too fast, but I also try to keep your attention and just be very cognizant of you all have to sit here all day. So
Chief, I guess in summary, we can expect a new fire station to run between $25 and $30 million on the average?
Unfortunately, sir, that is correct.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
What are you going to do with the old one at Arundel Mills once you put the new one in?
At Station 7, Arundel. We do not own that building. The volunteers own that building. That is part of their volunteer corporation. I'm sorry, excuse me, like a Chief Young. He's like, wait a minute, what? We do not know the plans for that because we understand how long it takes to build a station. So we haven't even reached that point of just having the land, and you saw the timeline. So there has not been conversation as to what will happen with that building. The smaller training facility is the volunteer-owned corporation building that sits on the same piece of land right next to it.
Just a quick question. Wall Chapel is a combination of population growth and wear and tear. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense. Okay.
Can I follow up on that? I had a question about that as well. Thank you, Ed. Do any of the impact fees from those multiple developments, 2 rivers and everything else, go towards building this new facility? And do we know how much?
I am not aware of that. Darlene, I would heed the floor to you or Naomi.
Yes, there are impact fees that go into a couple of the fire stations. Unfortunately, it's not one of the larger funding sources. There's usually more funding for roads and education, but what impact fees we do have go toward fire stations and also the Joint 911 Center. I can get you the specifics of who gets what where, but
I know that the county has been in the process of reviewing those impact fee schedules. I don't think that that's been completed yet. No? Okay. Because there was some question about increasing those impact fees because there is so much expense and so much cost increase that with the impact fees need to match. That's my first question. If you don't mind, one more. Can you please address, I know last year we talked about the price of replacing fire trucks, and you were even on the Hill going and talking about that when we had our budget meetings. Can you give us an update on that situation, please?
Absolutely. I love your timing. There are 2 major groups of fire apparatus manufacturers. We'll just group them like that. And it's Pierce and the Rev Group. And there are a bunch of other ones. I will Monday be in Wisconsin meeting with the new CEO of Pierce. to continue our discussion from testimony that was in Congress that happened in September. And we're not at the level of communication or problem solving that the American Fire Service would like to be at. And then we are in the process of scheduling a meeting for me to meet with the CEO of the Rev Group. I'll just say for the group, the reason this makes sense at that level is I'm also the president of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. So one of the great things that comes back to Anne Arundel County is I can use my Anne Arundel County voice along with that role to meet with some of these bigger manufacturers to let them know our absolute disappointment in what they are doing to local governments for the costs and what they do to local fire departments. So what we know right now is the timeline is still 3 years and the costs are still just as ridiculous as building a fire station. So a truck at 2.3 million and a fire truck at about 1.3 million. That's just one piece of apparatus. And from the day we order, it's taking years to get that into any jurisdiction across the United States. So with that being said, we're hoping to move the needle, but we are not there yet. But that is a great question. So I'm working hard on it.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do and your team and everybody, active and volunteers. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Just to break us up for a second, I know Elizabeth had a question about the impact fees. Naomi was able to share it, but it wouldn't paste in the chat. So I'm just going to share screen for 1 second just to show everybody what we've got.
Yeah, so you can see there are several fire stations. Jessup is the only current active fire station receiving impact fees right now. And of course, you can also see the Joint 911 Center.
Okay, good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Sorry for cutting you off, Chief Wilford. Back to you, and the PB with any questions.
No, great information. Thank you for having it so readily available.
Thank you to Naomi. She's amazing.
Okay, board members, more questions, please.
Yeah. How many total stations? How many are volunteer owned? And what's the ratio paid to volunteer?
So of the stations that we talked about that first slide, so it's listed on there, 31 total fire stations, 22 of them are county-owned buildings, and 9 are volunteer-owned buildings. So the breakdown is just under 1,000 for career firefighters. 959 is the uniformed fire and EMS providers. And then about 350, numbers right at 352 for operational volunteer firefighters. This is based off of a writing database. So that doesn't mean that they're all active at the same time, but about 350 are eligible to act as fire or EMT providers.
Can you tell me how, if a volunteer station is getting replaced, how does that work do they retain ownership of the new building?
It depends on what the agreement is prior to that. So the county can replace it, or which is, say, the example with Station 7 that has Arundel that has volunteer members and career members. That's an older county-owned building, so the county is going to replace it and pay for it. If you haven't heard the conversation previously, Station 12 is Early Heights. That's a volunteer-owned building, but it has career county members or county firefighters and volunteer county firefighters, but the leadership from Early Heights, their private corporation, is going to replace the building. So it just depends. It's a very, very unique system. There are very few across the country that are like this, but it works for us. So it depends on where the ownership starts and where we want it to land when we're done.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The fire engines themselves, you gave a number, an astronomical number of about $3 million. Do we have the information on how many need to be replaced? And I'm talking from your basic commercial cab to your ladder truck to your specialized equipment truck. And then how many do we think we will be needing over how long period of time so that we can, and the cost associated with each engine, because they're different.
Yes, I love that you already know that they're different, right? You already have the vernacular down. Yeah. So one engine, we'll say about 1.3 million, one ladder truck, about 2.3 million. Unfortunately, when I came in as chief, this has been an issue. Apparatus has been an issue in this department for years before. For any of you that sit in a role where one person leaves and then you come in next, you know how you absorb the sins of your predecessors, right? It is what it is. So we have been trying to dig out from this. Probably one of our biggest crippling elements is our reserve fleet has always been so depleted. Like we're down to 1 or 2 depleted. So we have worked tirelessly to do this, but with the cost increase and the lag time of getting it into the community, it's extremely difficult to do a 1-for-1. The average piece of apparatus is good for 25 years, and then you have to deadline it. But we don't run it first line in the field for 25 years. We try to run it for about 12 to 15, knowing we need the rest of its life in that reserve fleet, because we also try to manage the maintenance cost, and we can't have the downtime, right? We can't not be functioning and moving. So all that to say is when I came in, we did an apparatus plan. We did a multi-year apparatus plan. We did a 5-year, fantastic funding. We really stuck to it hard. And then you started to see these costs increase post-COVID and still continuing, which is the problem. It wasn't just a COVID problem. So we now have a 3-year plan in place, and we're trying to hold to that. But just for perspective, when I came in, less than $1 million was in the apparatus budget, which maybe got me 2 engines, but we're a large metro department with 31 stations, all of them with multiple pieces of apparatus. So we do have a multi-year plan. It does cost us more, but we are extremely hindered right now. It has been the biggest struggle that I truly didn't understand we would still be struggling with, as 8 years in. It's not all our struggle, it's the nation's struggle, but not having a very solid reserve fleet has huge negative outcomes.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Board members, any other questions?
One more question. I think I know the answer to this, but just looking at last year and then comparing it to this year, the cost of the Jessup Fire Station from the approved budget, which was even less than 27, I'm looking at before, it's $2 million more. Am I just?
I'm going to ask. Yep, I'm going to ask Darlene to look at the numbers. My guess would be construction costs from the 2-year adjustment. I don't have that directly in front of me if Chief Young or Darlene does.
Yeah, I think that, DPW comes up with our costs year over year, and I believe David Braun is on the line.
Oh, he is. I'm sorry. I didn't see you, David.
Good morning, David Braun with the Department of Public Works.
Good morning, David.
Yes, that estimate was one of those that when we were doing it for last year's capital project, we were just getting started on the design, and it was a really rough, ballpark kind of number. And now that we're, halfway through the design or so, we have much better numbers for what's going on and the impacts of the site development costs that are needed for the property that we have. And all of that's kind of combined to increase the cost estimate there.
That's what I figured. I just wanted to clarify and make sure. I know we're going to hear that a lot.
I do have one more question on suppression tanks. So your request looks like it's maybe 200 or 300% increase. And I looked at the line item over the last 4 or 5 years. It was $125,000. And now we're requesting $460,000 or $435,000. So my concern is there a problem or an issue with maybe a backlog of maintaining these suppression tanks? Are there any suppression tanks that are failing that are immediate that we need attention to? And is this a number that we need to look at forward from increasing to 125,000 to 435,000?
If y'all don't mind, I'll jump in on that one too. Yes to everything you said. we've been looking at this program this year because what happened the last 2 years, maybe even three, we had a program that was designed to design and inspect and repair 40 tanks a year. And over the last 3 years have found that 125,000 is not sufficient to keep the program at that level. So, and then in meeting with other folks, Captain Fowler from the fire department, also identified now that there are over 500 tanks, whereas our original program was set up for about 400. So in essence, in an effort to try to maintain a rotation of doing 40 tanks a year, that's where we came up with the 400 number. The other question you asked about failing tanks is anything that gets identified as a critical issue. We have money in this budget to be able to address those through the year. So those don't sit. Those are addressed immediately once they're brought to our attention.
Thank you. I think it's important to note that that 400,000 number is probably a number that needs to be set going forward. And that 125,000 number is not a realistic number looking forward.
Yeah, and that is actually the way we have proposed the program at this point. It's shown as 435 a year.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any other questions?
I have one more. I know I know COVID made it even worse than it already was, but what is the current time frame on design to delivery of a new piece of apparatus?
3 to 4 years, depending on how specialty specific. There are manufacturers that are claiming that if you put in right now, you could still get it in 14 to 16 months. But I was just with 40 Metro chiefs from across the country, and not one of us have seen it yet. So I got to see it to believe it. But right now, 3 to 4 years, I would say closer to 3.
Wow.
Chief, I mean, we're still waiting for a tower ladder that was ordered in 2022.
So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And back to Elizabeth's question, I mean, we've been in full-blown conversations with the White House for 2 years, right down to how many chassis are manufactured for the American Fire Service versus a private corporation, and how congressionally we could mandate some of those timelines in that product being available only to local governments, state organizations that need rigs, those types of things. And it has just been clawing to get any traction.
That's really infuriating, honestly.
And that's exactly how fire chiefs and mayors and county executives feel. And there's nothing. I mean, we've modeled everything. We've modeled, like, could you buy a trash truck and convert it, a school bus and convert it? There, unfortunately, and the industry knows this, there is nothing that functions that meets the safety standards and the job tasks required for firefighters to protect a community. It's very frustrating.
Are ambulances also along the same lines?
No, ma'am. Those are in a different category, and thankfully we do well there.
I appreciate it.
So my question,
out of respect for emergency management's time, I think we need to move on to OEM, but I'm happy to transfer any other questions via email from the PAB.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you for always being interested in our business. Clearly, we love it. We have fun doing it. We are honored to do it. But for you all to be interested in what we do, I genuinely appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your service.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on. It's 10:05, and we're going to move on to Office of Emergency Management.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning. I will share my presentation and we will get started.
And for our board members, page 6 on our highlighter report.
Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So this project is regarding the Joint 911 Public Safety Center, which also incorporates the Emergency Operations Center. I know we've been talking about it for a couple of years now. Really excited to update everybody on the progress of it and the timeline. So accomplishments this fiscal year, we continue to hold biweekly meetings with DPW, police, fire, information technology, facilities. Obviously, this is a very collaborative process. We're bringing together multiple different agencies, and the end result obviously will be an Office of Emergency Management that incorporates the police and fire 911 operations and communications. So it is a big initiative, and this is designed to be a collaborative effort from the beginning. So we have definitely made advancements in the design and the development of it. We've almost finalized the design. Noting that we try to be as fiscally responsible as possible. This is a large project. I acknowledge that. Again, it's bringing together many different components, enhancing our 911 operations, our emergency management and operations capabilities. And as I will talk about later, we aim to keep it within budget, but understanding, I know you were just talking to the fire chief, construction costs have increased, and so we all have to acknowledge that. The site approvals and MDE environmental review. The site that the 911 Center and the Emergency Operations Center is in underwent an environmental review based on its previous history. And we held 2 public meetings, the last one regarding the environmental review and the remediation that we plan to do moving forward. So to talk about that community meeting, this was our second one. Obviously, we plan to hold more as necessary. And this included, again, updating the public on the progress of the land development and the site design. And it included our partners from the Maryland Department of the Environment and also our environmental consultant. Again, MDE did an assessment of the land, and there is some remediation that has to be done. And we did provide the community on what that remediation, what the results of the environmental study were, and what the remediation plan is. And the remediation plan also includes, not just what's going to be done before and during the construction, but the monitoring after it as well. This is our capital budget request. It should come as no surprise. We are asking for a slight increase in FY27 and FY28. FY27 is 4.7 million, and FY28 is 3.6 million. And why are we asking for this increase? One of the major reasons for the increase is the new water main. Thankfully, this has been approved. This really enhances our project, helps the community in terms of this dedicated water main. I know is part of a larger project as well. But for our 911 personnel, emergency personnel, having this water main is essential for our operations. Technology, I'm sure many of you know 911 operations is very dependent on technology. While we have manual backup processes, the field is always expanding, always developing new technology in order to streamline the process and ensure that when the calls come in or videos or text, etc., that we'll be able to handle that, and operationally our building is built for that. And the building is meant to be a forward-thinking building and encompass the growth of Anne Arundel County. And that also means that consolidation of police and fire 911 operations under emergency management. And then good old inflation, right? I know that's been discussed probably in other projects, but the raw material, the labor cost do continue to increase. We want to take that into account, right? We don't want the project to stop because we didn't consider what the inflation cost would be. Construction is not set to start until probably 2027, maybe 2028. So we still have some time before then. We want to make sure that we take that inflation cost into account. Being cognizant of the cost of this project, we are continuously going after other funding and grant sources. We just received a $3.5 million federal earmark for technology equipment that will greatly help us in the, again, enhanced technology that 911 operations and even the Emergency Operations Center needs. And so we will continuously seek out other sources of funding like this 3.5 million, but that was happy news to receive at the beginning of the year. Of course, making sure that our land use in our facility is as responsible as possible with resiliency, not only in the overall structure, but making sure that the land use is proper and that we incorporate as much green initiatives as we can within our budget. And so we're always committed to that. And then, of course, the fiscal responsibility. Again, understanding the scope of this project and how we can make sure to ensure that our building has the core capabilities and the operational needs that we have to encompass, and going through some of the variables that we may be able to reduce on, and checking in on the value engineering options that we have. I will say police, fire, DPW, IT, facilities, we're all very aware of this fiscal responsibility and work very well together to make sure we try to keep it within the scope of the budget as much as we can. These are the latest designs of the building. Do not be fooled by the outside. I know the outside doesn't quite look like this, but you get a sense of what the building might look like. We are really excited, especially for 911 operations. It gives them more space for this ever-growing county. Make sure that the building is equipped to meet the future technological needs, and really promotes the growth of 911 operations and the Emergency Operations Center. And this building may encompass other entities as we go along in the next couple of years, including the city of Annapolis and other entities, to make sure that's that interoperable communications. So we're very proud of the building and what it means to the community. And that is it, short and sweet, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions?
You alluded to the new water main, and it was part of a larger project. Can you expand on what part of what project?
I think, and I could probably, Dave Braun might have more information of it. I think it's part of a larger initiative in terms of the Crownsville area for water mains. But Dave, if you have any more information on that.
Yes, the project itself is a standalone. The cost we're talking about here is to get the water main up to the 911 property. What it was part of a larger discussion on was the overall service area of the Crownsville Generals Highway area and other properties in the vicinity, and getting master plan updates done with that. But at this point, this water main is basically a standalone facility.
No impact fees or anything else like that for expansion in the area?
No, this is not meant to serve the other outside areas other than a direct line to the 911 center.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Any other questions? No questions? Well, very well. Thank you very much.
If there's any other questions, please let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, we have also in public safety, Chief Awad and staff. The floor is yours. And this is in on page 7.
Good morning. Can you hear us?
We can. Welcome.
Yes, good morning. My name is Henry Farrell. I'm the police department's fiscal manager, and I have with me Adrian Johnson, who's helping out with the presentation today. And we are going to speak on behalf of the chief, who is doing some funeral detail currently. So with that said, we'd like to share our screen and move on. Okay, the first project, well, let's talk about our long-term plan. These are not things that we're necessarily have a request for this year, but they are some things that we're going to be speaking to you about in the future. Of course, there is a construction of the new Northern Police Station, and we'll talk about that in more detail. But in the future, we'll be looking for funding to do some renovations to our Southern and Western District stations, and as well as establishing a new 5th District Police Station. Okay, the first project we wanted to speak about was new Northern District Police Station. You see $27.3 million in the construction for 27. I believe that's on page 7 of your highlighter report. This project is moving along very well, and we are about to complete construction documents and begin the process of applying for permits. This next slide is just a real quick look at the 5 projects that are ongoing today. No funding in the future, but still moving along with these things. And here is a little bit more detail about those same 5 projects. The training academy, we're wrapping up the scenario barn, just completing punch list items. The evidence and forensic science unit project, $40 million. Is moving along quite well, and we anticipate completion of that in this calendar year. The police special operations facility, which includes some renovations to the K9 area, is anticipated to be done this summer. And the new police firing range is underway as well, as we are assembling bid docs to be sent out. So that's it for us. There's no new request in the budget for the program years. And so that concludes our prepared statements. I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. It looks like your budget request has decreased on the Northern Police Station.
Commend you on that. You're one of the few.
So we had an original architect design, and between the DPW and the police department and the architect, we revisited that original design and shrunk down a lot of common area space and corridors and such, and basically just shrunk the square footage as much as we could, but still allow us for some growth for the future. So we're pretty happy with it. We're glad that the number went down instead of up. And so that's what happened there.
Very good. That's always welcomed. Board members, any questions?
It's a great job, because I know that space is tight right there in Northern.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to construct on the same property while operating out of the old building. It's gonna be very tight, as you said, but it is doable, and that's a huge benefit to us in the county and the neighborhood. We don't have to revisit a new site. We don't have to acquire land somewhere else. Not everybody wants a police station in their backyard, so we feel good about this project.
Very good. Board members, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation and for your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we are going to take a short break, 15-minute break, and we'll get back here at about 10:35. It's 10:35 and we're going to reconvene. So let's move forward. Next up is planning and zoning. Christina and Michael, we're very familiar with. Welcome and good morning.
You ready?
We are ready. You're on.
Well, it's good to see you, Chair Kurtz, and members of the Planning Advisory Board. I'm Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. I have with me here today Michael Stringer. He is the program manager for the county's agricultural preservation program. He's been in the position for almost exactly a year. He's going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing for the last year and what we're hoping to accomplish in FY27. Take it away, Michael.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Planning Advisory Board. It's great to see you all again. I'm happy to be presenting to you and sharing this information from this side of the table this year.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
And for board members, this is on page 3 of our highlighter.
Yep. Okay. So you can all see my screen. Let me just start with an overview about the Agricultural and Woodland Preservation Program. As you all are well aware, this program really implements across the suite of Plan 2040 goals and policies, right? We're preserving farms and working forests, and that supports our natural environment goals about protecting open space, preserves our built environment by protecting the rural areas of the county. It also supports our healthy community goals in terms of making sure that we have healthy, sustainable local food available in the county, and supports our economic goals by sustaining the traditional economy of ag in the county. In the capital budget, it supports our agricultural and woodland preservation program, where we place farms and working forests into conservation easements. And we preserved over 14,900 acres of land in the county over the last 30 years through this program. What we do in this program is, the county purchases the development rights. The land stays in private ownership. So the farmers, the landowners, they keep ownership of it, they manage it, they maintain it. The county just buys the development rights. So that means they can't subdivide it any further. You're going to always be a farm, always be a forest, not going to be a subdivision in the future. We have a goal that's been longstanding to get up to 20,000 acres in the county preserved in this program. So we're about 3/4 of the way there. Now, in the capital budget, we have two capital budget projects that support the program. That's C44-3400 and C54-3800. And let me tell you a little bit about the distinction between the two. The 44-3400, that supports easements that the county buys on its own and through a program by the state of Maryland called the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation, MALF. On the other side is C54-3800, and that's the Rural Legacy Program. That's run by the State Department of Natural Resources. They provide us grants, and the county supplements those as needed to get to the full purchase price for these conservation easements. So we have those two different programs that are funded in the budget that support a coordinated program with these three different options for how owners can purchase easements. This program is funded through the general fund, with a portion actually coming from agricultural transfer taxes. So when an agricultural property that's been receiving that preferred agricultural use assessment from the State Department of Assessment and Taxation If that's sold and goes to a non-agricultural use, they pay a tax on that, and that also comes back into this project. So in the last FY26, we've had a lot of productivity and a lot of interest in the program. We've had properties going through each of the three programs. Underneath the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation, we had applications go through the state last year, and we're proceeding with one that's going on a 49-acre property down in South County. That'll be all state funds applied to that. The county, at the end of last year in December, we signed a conservation easement on a property that's right at the intersection of Davidsville Road and 50. So kind of right at kind of a greenway buffer between the developed areas of Crofton and going south into Davidsonville. That was a large 192-acre property, been in farming for over 100 years and a really prominent location. So we're really excited about bringing that one into the fold. We're also working with another landowner further down South County in Lothian to preserve a 136-acre property. We're getting all the paperwork lined up for that. We're hoping to close on that this fiscal year. That'll be funded by a grant that we have from the state Rural Legacy Fund, $890,000 of that, supplemented by about $200,000 of county funds. So these programs, we leverage the state dollars with county funds. The different programs have slightly different eligibility criteria, so we're working with landowners to see which program fits them best and where we've got the most funding available at the timeline that meets their needs. So looking ahead to FY27, we've done a lot of marketing to raise interest in the program. We went through last year and looking at all the land use analysis that have been done in the region plans and refined that with information on agricultural preservation and came up with a list of about 100 kind of top prospects of land properties to come into this program. We sent them direct mailings, and we've been in conversation with about 18 of those landowners over the last few months. And so we built the request for FY27 based on interest that we have, property owners that are getting into the queue for these programs. For the C54-3400 number, we're requesting a total of about $3.7 million. That would be $2.4 million in county funds, $1.2 that we expect to get from the state, and then estimating $100,000 from the agricultural transfer tax. We've already got 2 applications for that state program in process right now. We have strong interest from about 3 others. So we're kind of basing our projections on preserving 5 farms and about 500 plus acres of land through this. Now, it's worth noting that timing is critical for these properties. There's a window of time when landowners are interested in putting lands into conservation. It often happens at, if a farmer's retiring or they're doing a generational transfer to their children. So having the funds available is critical to try to meet the families at their needs when there's a window of opportunity, because once it closes, we don't know when it's going to open again. So we know this is a significant amount of funding to ask for in a tight budget year, but we have the demand there and we have the interest, and we want to make sure that we're capitalizing on that energy that we have right now. In the C54-3800 program, the Rural Legacy Grant, again, we've based the projection on property owners' interest. We have 1 application that's in process. We have a couple others that are very interested. So we've based this on looking at those properties and estimating that 2 of the farms will come in and conserving about 120 acres. This Rural Legacy Program funds, they focus both on the agricultural lands as well as forests and wetlands. So the properties that we have in this have a lot of streams, wetlands, and forest cover, and as well it gets preserved. So it's notable that in our budget request in the highlighter report and in your 1-pager, we actually show a decrease in the state funds. And what we're doing with that is we're correcting for past years. We actually just submitted on Monday a grant application to the state for another round of this Rural Legacy funding. We're expecting to get $1 million. But back in FY25, we put in a placeholder for $1.5 million in state grant. We received $891,000. Which is what we plugged into the FY26 budget, but we never cleared out that 1.5 from FY25. So by putting a -500 in here, we're reconciling those 3 years of what we expect to get in funding here. So the budget number goes down, which helps our affordability, but we've already got prior approved funds that roll into what we expect to get this year. So we are expecting to spend funds and to get a grant this year, but that negative number is just reconciling the numbers over the past 3 years. We also request county funds in this budget so we can, increase our competitiveness and leverage these state dollars when we go to statewide competition for them. So with that, that's our quick overview, and please let us know if you have any questions, or thank you for your time and your attention to this. And I know this is a program of agricultural land preservation, rural land preservation. That's something that's really historically been very important to the Planning Advisory Board, and we're looking for your support this year as well.
Thank you very much, Michael. It's hard to believe you've been in your new position for a year already. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Question I do have is, first, I'd like to make the statement that, and you already mentioned it, but in most cases, these properties are a once in a lifetime opportunity to take advantage of the programs and the opportunity to put these properties in preservation. So it's critical that the funding is there when the opportunity comes. Second, the question I would have would be, is there any properties that we missed because of lack of funding?
We have been fortunate since I came on that we actually have a robust amount of funding this year to meet the need. As we see this list of interest increasing and we're building our queue, we're seeing demand outpacing our current funding as it is. So for FY26, we've been good, but as we look forward, especially because we're looking at having conversations with a couple of families that have very large, almost 200-acre properties. And those will take a significant amount of funding to be able to place an easement on. So as we look at those coming in, we're seeing potential shortfalls coming ahead.
Okay, thank you. Also, to try to attain that 20,000 acre goal, what is the timeline you think that is achievable?
Yeah, our back of the envelope estimate is probably about 10 years. We've been doing analysis to see how much acreage is left out there. And then, of course, as we said, doing targeted marketing and outreach to those landowners. But as you said, like the timing of this is critical. It's got to be the right time that works for the family when it meets their financial needs and their estate and legacy goals. So, we're trying to increase the amount of acreage we're bringing in each year, but I think it's going to be something that's kind of like a 10-year plus horizon to achieve that.
So that would be about 500 acres a year?
Yeah, that's my back of the envelope estimate.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Board members, any questions?
Sorry. Hi. Thank you for all you're doing. We appreciate it because we're part of your program. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My question is backtracking or piggybacking on what Gus said. The county's goal is 30. I thought it was 30,000 by 2030. Is that not the slogan?
That's from the Green Infrastructure Master Plan, and we say 30% of the green infrastructure network conserved by 2030. So these two programs complement each other, but don't directly align. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But for agricultural preservation, the longstanding goal has been 20,000 acres of agricultural and rural lands in this program.
And you're saying 10 years from now, 500 acres a year, if we can do that. And we're at 14,000 so far, but we're getting there. So, and I just want to piggyback on that because being a board member and I have full disclosure, Scenic River Land Trust, we work very closely with the agricultural preservation programs and the rural legacy programs. And it is key in timing. Because when a family finally decides, and they, like we have one going through right now, have a very large family and a very large number of acres to be saved, it is key in the timing and trying to make sure that we are knocking on their doors. And you've done such a good job in reaching out because they don't come to you, and a lot of people are not familiar with the program. So it takes a lot of marketing and it takes a lot of time to actually sign an agreement. So I commend you on that, and I'm glad you're in that position. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, Michael, thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
work.
Thank you,
Great job,
PAB.
team.
Thank you, Christina. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, looks like we're right on time moving forward. Next is inspections and permits.
Good morning, Commission members, PAB members. This is Raghu Badami with Inspections and Permits. I also have Nathan Mark Line on the call. Nathan?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Let me share my screen. Morning, everybody. Can everybody see the screen and hear me okay?
Yes, and for board members, it's page 5 of our highlighter.
Okay. Like I said, my name is Raghu. I'm the Assistant Director for Inspections and Permits, and I'll be covering inspections and permits capital projects today. We have 2 capital projects, and both of the capital projects are directly related to the inspections and permits forestry program goals, which includes expansion of the county's canopy through reforestation, afforestation plantings, and also preserving complex native forest ecosystems. The C531200, which is on page 23 of the one-pager report, and C582700, which is on page 43 of the one-pager, are the 2 projects that we have. And in FY26, INP is continuing to work with stakeholders, and we have a couple of different types of projects that we will be speaking to, and they all speak to the collaboration, the outreach that we are trying to do with nonprofit partners, HOAs on invasive management, and also working with other county agencies. For C531200 project for FY26, we have worked with the Scenic River Land Trust, who is our partner with the preservation of this parcel. We have been able to purchase about 20.9 acres parcel, and it was settled back in December of 25. We have been able to work with Rec and Parks, DPW, County Exec's Office on purchasing Glebe Heights property, and we spent about $182,000 out of the reforestation funds. For FY27, we'll be asking for $500,000 from the reforestation fund. This just shows a schematic of the 20 acres of the forest preservation, which is in alignment with the Plan 2040 goals, and that attempts to protect the Jabez branch. This is the Glebe Heights property. Like I mentioned, there is a overall purchase price, but the reforestation dollars are about $182,000. For the C582700 project, we have a couple of different activities that we have been able to do in FY26. The first one is, as I mentioned before, we have been working with not only reforesting, but also where there are invasives, and trying to remove those invasives and reforest them. And I think working with existing HOAs has been a part of that overall diverse efforts in not only looking at newer projects, but also trying to preserve existing forests where there are significant invasives. So the first project is about 2 acres. And we have been able to work with this particular HOA, leverage dollars from their HOA standpoint. And also we are bringing some dollars to the table in preserving the parcel with an easement on it, with a forest con easement on it, and then reforestation. So the HOA would be chipping in with the invasive removal, and then the INP would be chipping in with easement preservation and also reforestation dollars. And I'll be happy to get into the dollar amounts if the board members have any questions. So INP has also been working to reforest about an acre of parcel. This is behind a county treatment plant up in Laurel. And we are looking to get access from the neighboring property owner. It's much easier to access a property from the neighboring property as opposed to through the county property. We are also trying to reforest about a half acre. We have purchased this 10-acre parcel with the last year's budget, but there is about half acre that was used as a parking pad, and we are using to bring some forestry dollars to the table to reforest that half acre. And we are not asking for any money in the FY27 budget. So this is the Pines on the Severn project that I mentioned. Nathan is here. He's the lead on this project. If there are specific questions on the types of invasives, I'm sure he'll be happy to speak to it. But this just shows a visual of the nature of the invasives that the HOA was dealing with, and where the county is working with the HOA to kind of bring the partnership to the table so that we can reforest it, remove the invasives, and reforest it. This again just shows an aerial image of the parcels that I showed in the last picture. So this just shows a visual of the property that we are looking to reforest. This is the treatment plant, and as opposed to accessing it from this thickly woody vegetated area, we are looking to access it from this side of the neighboring property. And this is a part of the project that we preserved last year. This is all the 10 acres of existing forest. This half acre was used as a parking pad previously. So the first step is to restore the soils, and then the next step is to reforest that half acre piece of land. And that completes my presentation. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raghu. I don't have any questions. Board members, any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for your time and your presentation.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, looks like next up is roads and bridges, transportation.
Hello, good morning, board members.
Good morning. Welcome.
My name is Sam Sneed. I'll be presenting on the Office of Transportation budget, and Brian Ulrich, our Transportation Administrator, will be accompanying me. Can you slide to the next slide, please? So I did want to give you a little bit of background. The purpose of this slide is to highlight our existing plans and plans in development. We draw from these plans to develop our capital transportation budget. There are a few plans that you've seen before, but I also wanted to highlight some new plans that are in progress we're developing for the current year. One is our transit-oriented development countywide plan, and another is our interjurisdictional ferry operations plan. There's also the South County mobility study as well. Slide 3. So please refer to page 3 of the highlighter report, 29 of the one-pager for this particular project. We'll first highlight the 4 new standalone projects. We'll begin in a C class. We're not reviewing every project, but only those with projects that have major changes. For example, we're adding Odenton TIF funds to finalize the Odenton Mark Garage, but since we are removing bond funds, we're not going to go over that extensively unless you had additional questions. And then if you go to page 30, the first major addition is our operations facility. The funding for the site work and temporary buildings was already allocated in prior budgets, but we're showing design and the permanent building in 2032, with the recommendation leaving the full build out in later years of the CTP until we can secure additional funding. Slide 4. Please refer to page 32. We are remaining consistent with the approved program of county funds, but we removed one of the anticipated state grants that did not materialize. We're currently working through our operating study, and then we'll finalize procurement on the vehicles. The total on the slide reflects only federal grants that were awarded and the county match, of course. So until the operation study is complete, we won't be able to go out into RFP, which would be further out in a later fiscal year. For now, we're using a portion of the funds to complete the operational study. Next slide, please. So now we're going to shift gears and move to H-class projects. Brian will walk through these projects. Thank you, Brian.
Yep, Brian Allwork, Planning Administrator for the Office of Transportation. This H-class is page 16 of the highlighter, page 157 of the one-pagers. We will do the similar thing and just hit the major changes or new projects or major changes, and we can go back and discuss any other ones. But relatively minor cost increases or shifting of the schedule, we won't discuss unless you have specific questions. So the first project I wanted to talk about was, again, on page 157. It's the Crownsville transportation improvements. And this is to support the Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park Master Plan. There's some gateway and entrance changes, as well as just associated, multimodal kind of adding sidewalks and pedestrian improvements and things. So this is kind of to help build out the transportation network as needed, including some minor improvements associated with ACDS's intended development of the Meyer building. The next project is on page 158, Edwin Rayner Boulevard improvements. This project builds off a current sidewalk project that goes from Northeast High School north on Fort Smallwood, Maryland 173 north. That's providing all the way up to the Sunset Park. That's providing some pedestrian improvements to the library and the high school. This is the opposite direction along Edwin Rayner south from the high school to almost to Mountain Road. I think it's Old Crown. Primarily adding a sidewalk on the west side, shared use path on the east side. There are some intersection improvements as well. And this is just showing the first phase of the project design out in 32. That's it for brand new standalone projects. But we did want to hit some of the major changes or additions to some of the existing projects. If you skip to 170 in the one pagers, Wall Chapel Road improvements. This is right now is constructing shared use path as well as some other improvements between Maryland 3 and Maytime. But we are requesting to add design funding for phase 2. A couple years back, we did a phase 2 study that's Maytime north to Piney Orchard Parkway. And so this would continue the shared use path, but primarily it's making some intersection improvements to help people get in and out of the neighborhood safely. But we're also, of course, adding a bike or shared use path for, there's a lot of sidewalk here already, but to help bikes as well. The next project, again, that has a major change is Conway Road improvements. You've seen this before. You can see on the screen, there are 3 contract phases right now. Only contract A, kind of phase 1, is funded for construction. So this change is to add right-of-way and construction funding for contracts B and C, which is phases 2 and 3. And this would improve access in and out of the Two Rivers community along Conway Road for the whole section. And then the last major project change is to the BWI Trail Extension, Belgrove Road improvements. We're adding money to that per program, but the change in the program would be in 32, we're adding design funding to extend the trail south from the BWI trail. The approved program is going north. This would it's extended south to Odenton, with the southern portion from 175 north towards just past 32 as kind of that first phase, and that would tie into the state's improvements that are on 175 with the shared use path and some of the other trail improvements that we have going on in Odenton. So that would be the first phase of a new section of the BWI Trail extension. And then I did want to jump back. If you go back to page 16 on the highlighter, there are some multi-year funds with some program increase changes. So you can see sidewalk bikeway fund is jumping from 500. There's some increases in 27, as there always are for project specifics, but for the rest of the program, the changes are going from, for sidewalk bikeway is 500,000 to $1 million. There's pet improvements SHA that's going from 500,000 a year to $1 million. And those are primarily, we get a lot of requests for sidewalk improvements, and both they cost a lot of money and we have a lot of requests and needs. And you can see in the appendix, there's a whole list of projects. So this would bump up the funding a little bit, try to knock out some of more of those projects more quickly. Another increase in transportation facilities planning from 300,000 to 500,000 to help fund these standalone projects, do these studies. The projects you saw, the Crownsville, the Edmund Rayner, even the Conway and the Wall Chapels, we have studies that kind of feed the CIP, get good cost estimates, see what's feasible, get community input, and so help feed this CIP. So bump that up a little bit so we can do more than one study a year. And then I also do want to highlight, not necessarily our project, but the Safe Routes to School project is also bumping up from 500,000 to $1 million. Again, helping with that multimodal, building out the sidewalk network. There's a lot of coordination between DPW, Office of Transportation, and public schools. So just wanted to note that was also bumping up, trying to get more of those projects done. So if there's questions on those projects, or maybe something we missed that was a schedule adjustment or something, I believe David's on. That can also maybe answer schedule adjustments or cost adjustments, more minor. But any other questions you have for these, or the ones that Sam presented? But Sam, did you want to say anything to wrap up, or wait for questions?
This time we can open up for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Brian and Sam. First question I had would be Marley Neck Road. Is there any projects currently transportation-wise that you're working up on Marley Neck area?
Yes. I have my slides open. Let me hop to it. So the Marley Neck Boulevard improvements, that's under DPW highways, but so they may be able to answer that. But there is a phase one. Well, there's a couple things. There's pavement markings that are trying to be fixed, but there's also a phase one shared use and path improvement that's there's a missing sidewalk gap in there, and it's going to connect that shared use path. So Nestor can probably, or Alex can probably talk more about it when it's their turn, but there is a project there that's active. And if you go to page, what page is this? 15 on the highlighter, you can see it was previously allocated. It might have a small increase, but there is a project there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Board members, any questions?
Okay, it's the same question again. Are any impact fees for these projects, like the sidewalk and the connections? Are you getting any impact fees for projects such as those?
So any project that's highlighted in red will be associated with an impact fee.
Okay.
And again, we need to reassess the impact fees for fiscal year 27. And so those numbers will be updating, but that's currently what's in the program.
Thank you.
Board members, any other questions?
No, sir, that was pretty good.
Okay, one other question. Brian, you touched on phase B and C of Conway Road. What's the I guess the timeline of that project? Because that's a big project.
Yes. Give me one second here.
According to our budget information, it looks like it's a 4-year project.
Yeah, any of these big projects are really kind of at least a 3-year project. The current schedule for phase 1 is looking at starting construction in 27. That would be the contract A. Then, of course, based on the program, we're adding the Conway Road funds. Let's see. Looks like in 29 and 30, so and on. So those probably would be about 2 years behind. We are doing the design on all 3 of them, but the final design is being done on contract A. So these would just be behind that. So the first phase will be 27, and the other ones would probably be 29, 30 after that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Board members, any questions?
I have another question, and thank you for clarifying that, Naomi. I did know that red was impact fees. It's right there at the top between red, blue, and yellow. But my question is, on some of these, and it looks like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, these aren't necessarily new projects, right? You don't have any new projects, but you have new projects. I mean, there's some of these like Parole Transportation Center. You had funding before. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is if you can rank order these or help us, because you obviously have a lot of requests and need a lot of money, and we don't have it. So I don't know if there's a rank order that you want to prioritize some of this on, or help us to spread it out a little bit more, or what. But maybe that's just going to have to be left up to us to do. But
we can definitely provide you with a ranking as we've done in the past years, of course.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. Thank
For
you.
the new requests, right? We can rank the new requests.
Yeah. So they're all good things. That's the hard part.
Yes, it is.
Another question I did have, it looks like Solly Road shared use path. That request is prior 3 million, and now it's almost 10 million. What's the big change there?
That's I missed that one. That was also I should have included that one. Sorry. That is similar to Conway. We had started the design. We had only had design funding in the program, and so that was adding the construction. If you look at the one pager on page 174, you can see where we're adding the right-of-way and construction funding. So you're right. I should have included that one. That was a change as well in phasing. So we had design approved, and that's adding right-of-way and construction for that Solly Road shared use path, which is from near the elementary school up to 173, or to the park at least.
And that request is for FY 2028. So is that looks like the study's been done, engineering's been done, and it's almost ready to go?
Well, the study was done a while back and this is one phase of that. There's funding in 27 and 28, and the engineering is ongoing currently. It's almost finished, but not quite. But I believe it's at 60% or maybe 90%. But so it's ongoing. And this would just let us go right into right-of-way acquisition.
Okay, very well. Board members, any other questions? All right. Well, Brian and Sam, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Jesse, looks like we're a little bit ahead of schedule now.
We
Is,
are, but health department is ready to go. Don is on the call, so I'll just promote him to a panelist. While Don connects over, I don't see the other presenters that were scheduled to come with him, so we'll ask him once he's a panelist if he's ready to go or if we need to take a short break. Don, how are you feeling? Can you handle the presentation, or do we need to wait for other members of your team?
I'm good. You know, if the other people join, but the three programs are for environmental health, so and they're reoccurring, so I have no problem presenting.
Okay, welcome, Don. Thank you very much.
Hi, Gus.
For being early, and the floor is yours. This is on our highlighter, page 2.
So I will basically, since you already have the highlighters, I will start with our demo fund, C's 206500. This is consistent with program. $150,000 is what we get annually, which what we use at the Department of Health is to board up abandoned homes to keep them so they're not open to casual entry for rodents and pests to get inside, as well as vandalism. We share this budget with planning and zoning and inspections and permits. They use this funding to tear down, and some of their projects are much bigger, to tear down abandoned houses where they become unsafe. The next one on page 21 is C501100, Failed Sewage and Private Well Fund. This is the fund that we use to repair septic systems and to re-drill wells for people that are at the very low poverty level, and to try to assist them to make sure that we get rid of a public health concern with a failing septic system, as well as when they're out of water and they need a well and they qualify. Wells in our county have become very expensive, and this fund can help them with some of the cost. This is a fund that we try to use as much as possible out of the Bay Restoration Fund, which we get a lot more money out of MDE, and use this minimally so that we continue to keep this fund available for wells and drain fields where needed. If we have to replace a tank, we use the Bay Restoration Fund and get grant money to put in a Bay Restoration a nitrogen reducing unit, and the MDE fund can pay for that. The next one is C537700, page 22, septic system enhancements. And this is indeed the Bay Restoration Fund, where we get this money from MDE to put in nitrogen reducing units, as well as anywhere where we have an existing sewer line where we can abandon a septic system, connect it to public sewer where we can get ENR treatment at the plant. This is all about reducing the nitrogen that goes into the tributaries as well as the bay. We are the county that installs the most Bay Restoration units. We are also the county that gets the most amount of funding out of the state. We've had this program since 2008 when it went into place. We are recognized very, very largely across the state of the work that we do in our county, and we will continue to administer this. And this is consistent with program as well. That's our three. And if there's any questions, I'm available to answer.
Thank you, Don. And these projects are all so critical. Years ago, a well was $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and now a well can be $25,000 or $30,000. And I think a lot of the people who are operating on a well, you almost take it for granted. You turn your water on and you have water, and a well can last for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But when it stops working, most people are not ready or prepared to spend the $25,000 or $30,000, and you need water when you're living in a house. It's critical. So this fund is really, really important, and it's a very important project, along with the Bay Restoration Funds. So that's my comment. Board members, any questions?
Question on the septic system enhancements, 7,700. Is that part of, or does the Mayo septic replacement project fall under that category?
It does not, because Mayo is really a public sewer system that's managed by DPW. So in Mayo, the houses have a septic tank on site, and then it's pumped to the Annapolis sewer plant. There's a sewer line that goes across the creek, goes up through Quiet Waters, and then goes to the Annapolis plant. So that is considered a public sewer system and not really a septic system. It's kind of a hybrid because there are septic tanks on each individual property that DPW manages, but the sewage all goes to the ENR plant already to get nitrogen reduction treatment at the plant where it's easier to do and at such large volume.
I know that that's a huge project and very expensive to replace those septic systems on individual properties. So I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Board members, any other questions? No. Well, Don, thank you very much for your presentation. And I know you've got to be getting close to retirement. You've been doing this a long, long time. And
well, I'm at year 45, Gus, but you know, my wife retired 7 years ago, and she tells me every day how she loves it, and why do I get up at 4 o'clock and still do this? But I do love what I do, and right now I'm still doing it.
Well, I'm glad you're there. I know you have a passion for it, and your wealth of knowledge is irreplaceable. So thank you again very much.
Thank you, Gus, and it's always a pleasure to see you.
Okay, board members, with that's our presentations are finished, and we are going to take an early break and come back at 1 o'clock. So Jessica, do you have anything you want to cover now?
I'm fine with taking an early break if you are.
Yeah. Yep. So let's reconvene at 1 o'clock, and everybody enjoy your lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Right.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's 1 o'clock, February 13th. This is the Planning Advisory Board meeting, budget presentations. And at 1 o'clock, we have the Board of Education. So we'll turn it over to the Board of Education. The floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. And it's nice to see you all again. We have my name is Bill Heiser. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and I'm joined by Jeff Hagan, our Acting Director of Facilities, as well as Michelle Phillips, our Senior Manager of Facilities of Management and Budget. So we have about 16 slides that we'll jump through. We know you've had a busy morning and a long afternoon in front of you, so I'll scoot through these slides as thorough as I can, but as efficiently as possible. So with that, thank you. This is the FY27 capital budget and capital improvement program for this workshop. And just to give you a bit of an overview on our portfolio, we go to the next slide. Thank you. We manage 130 facilities across 3,000 plus acres. Our buildings average 30 years in age with a replacement value of $8.2 billion. And we're proud to say that we rank third in the state in Facility Condition Index, which is an indicator of aging infrastructure. And so that 30 years of average age is just a really good indication that we try to do our very best, and our team does a great job in making sure that our facilities are really, really well maintained. I'll get into our FY27 budget request is for approximately $231.7 million. It includes a combination of major capital and recurring capital renewal projects. A significant portion of the FY27 budget request is for funding of the Old Mill Master Plan projects. So CAT North, our Center of Applied Technology North, it's called, and Old Mill High School replacement projects are in progress, as you know. The final components will be the completion of Old Mill Middle School North. And so the bidding process for Old Mill Middle School North is complete, and bids were within our estimate, which we're happy to see. And construction contracts were approved at the January 14th Board of Education meeting. Our request for recurring programs is approximately $68 million. Many of these projects originate from the Comprehensive Maintenance Plan, known as CMP, that was approved by the board at the September 3rd meeting. Most of the categories are locally funded, except for building systemic renovations, to which the state contributes funding to that. And these programs all represent the bulk of our capital renewal projects. Won't go through each one of these individually. However, at the end, if there are specific questions, we'd be happy to answer questions about any one of these areas projects. Next up is our school bus facility lot. And that is the project to combine our Waterford and Millersville lot and offices and build a maintenance, parking, and training facility all in one location. And so the $6.5 million requested in FY27 would be to provide funding for the design and construction of this project. We are currently working with our county partners to procure property for this project. I know that we were very close to that. I haven't received an update lately. Next up, our $6 million request in all-day K and pre-K is for a renovation project at Marley Glen. We're also seeking FY27 state funding for the Carver pre-K renovation. The bidding phase for Carver is complete, and the construction contract was approved at the December 17, 2025 Board of Education meeting. This will be a 120-seat early education center, and it's scheduled to open for next school year, 26-27. And this building would follow a similar model as a regional early education center, and we're really excited about that project. Old Mill High School will utilize the same prototype design as Severn Run High School and Crofton High School. I know you probably have seen both those schools, and they're absolutely beautiful. The school is currently under construction at the Old Mill complex, and our request is for $71 million split between local and state funds. The school is scheduled to be occupied in the 28-29 school year. Funding for this project that you see will be used for the replacement of Old Mill Middle School North. This project is required to be completed as we dismantle the Old Mill complex. This school will utilize the same prototype design as Old Mill Middle School South and will be located on the current CAT North site on Stevenson Road. Our request is for $37.6 million in local funds, 6.4 of IAC funds, and $4.1 million in BTL funds, which will be transferred from the Severn Run High School and Rippling Woods elementary school projects. Construction contracts were recently approved at the January 14, 2026 meeting, and this school will be occupied in the 28-29 school year. The Ruth Parker Easton project aims to replace the current developmental center with a new facility on Stevenson Road. By co-locating with Quarterfield Elementary and Old Mill Middle School North, the initiative will provide elementary and middle school students with educational opportunities, while students aged 16 through 21 will transition to Severn Run High School for age-appropriate programming. Early collaboration has already occurred between AACPS and MSDE's Office of Special Education, resulting in a letter of support for the project, for which they're very, very excited. The request is for $4.5 million in fiscal year FY27 to begin feasibility studies and design work. Riviera Beach Elementary School last renovated in 1971. Now has a modified age of 48 years and faces significant infrastructure challenges. 1971, I feel like I'm talking about myself I was born in 73, and I think I'm having infrastructure challenges as well, guys. So I just add some color commentary to that. This project, with approximately 10 million in capital renewal needs, the school requires upgrades across the central systems, classrooms, and accessibility features to provide an effective learning environment for students and staff. And so to address these issues, a 3.9 million request is being submitted for FY27 to fund a feasibility study in the initial design for this renewal project. This investment would allow for a thorough assessment and planning, setting the stage for an updated or replacement facility that meets current educational standards. The addition/renovation of Arundel Middle School will provide capacity for increasing enrollment and improve the educational sufficiency of the existing building. Due to the additional students assigned to this school because of the Phase 2 redistricting plan, this project has moved up in our priority. The FY27 request is for $7.6 million to start designing this project. The annex building at Glendale Elementary School was not untouched during the school's replacement in 2001. Although Glendale's student catchment area population has remained stable, there is a need for additional space to support the regional special education program. It's a special place. The annex, now approximately 55 years old, is a solution to address these needs, offering additional space, and will ensure that the school can continue to provide high-quality learning environments for all of our students. To move this initiative forward, a fiscal year 2027 funding request of $2.8 million is being submitted. Consistent with other large systemic projects executed by ACPS, the Southern High School project will address growing capital renewal needs. The project will evaluate opportunities to improve both the physical environment and functional aspects of the facility. ACPS has allocated project program funding in FY26 to facilitate a scope study. The funding request for FY27 is set at $7.4 million to begin the design phase. Similar to Southern High's project, the Northeast Middle School Systemic Renovation Project will target capital renewal needs and assess ways to enhance the facility's physical and functional elements. ACPS has budgeted for a scope study in FY26 using project program funding, and a $5.1 million request is being made for FY27 to start the design of this project. Just want to take the next two slides, a couple of slides to focus on project support from the IAC. The AACPS has historically received between $30 and $40 million in IAC funding on an annual basis, but this year that funding is anticipated to be lower. Our current budget request is for $79 million in IAC funding, which includes $4.1 million provided through a transfer of remaining BTL funding on previous projects. The IAC recently published their 90% recommendation, and Anne Arundel County was recommended for just $27.6 million of the $79 million requested. The IAC has approved state funding for our building system renovations systemic projects. State funding for Old Mill High School, Old Mill Middle School North, Carver Early Education Center, and North County High School roof replacement are under consideration at this time. So with that, that was a lot of information in a short period of time. Thank you for listening. Our team will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions. One, if you can go over the school capacity currently and the forecast of where we're going to end up maybe 4 or 5 years from now, anticipation of school capacity. Second, your bus facility, if you can go back to that and cover that in a little bit more in depth. And then I'm just curious, maybe Naomi can look this up. Old Mill High School, which is anticipated to be $215,000. $215 million. And that's comparatively type building as in Crofton High School. What did Crofton cost to build when that was built? And how many years ago that was? Just for comparison purposes.
Okay.
And
Thanks
then a prioritized list of your proposals.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot here.
yeah.
You need to
Okay.
rack and stack them.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz, for those questions. We'll take the well, since it's up right now, the bus facility, and between the three of us, and Jeff will probably follow my lead here, but we're excited about this. This project is slated for a property off of Dorsey Road, just south of BWI property. This obviously allows us to have one site and one location. Our current site over in Millersville, as you probably either driven by it or seen it or heard about, is a facility that ranked the lowest, actually, of our facility conditions of all the sites that we have. So it's in great demand and need to try and replace that. The other thing over time is we're trying to build an infrastructure whereby we support at this new site, we're supporting electric buses, and we've taken a step towards that, the state requirement. And so we've got, I believe it's 4 electric buses that'll be coming online. So we need to build in the capacity. And you see, actually, that picture kind of shows charging stations for that. Jeff, is there anything else in terms of this project that you'd like to add?
No, Bill, I think you covered it quite well. I don't know, if, Mr. Kurtz, if you had any other questions specifically about it?
Is this location at the same location that their transportation hub is going to be located?
Clarify that for me, if you would. The transportation hub, what do you mean?
Yeah, they're building a new, in the Glen Burnie area, they're building a new transportation.
Oh, the
hub.
county is?
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is not related to that at all.
Okay. This is a separate site.
Correct.
Okay.
Are you currently using a site in Arnold off of Baydale Drive that is leased from a resident for storage, a bus facility? Are you familiar with anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of either.
It could be a contractor that works for us.
Okay, that's probably it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, that answers my questions on the bus facility. Thank you.
And with regard to Crofton High School, it's about $120 million, I believe.
Okay, so it's almost $100 million more in cost.
What year was that?
Oh, geez. I think I would have to turn to BOE on that one.
2018, maybe?
Yeah.
2017, I think.
That sounds right. I'm pulling it up now, if you bear with me. Yeah, I'll have to double check for you. Hold on.
We had the capital lift in 2000, I think, 16. And I believe construction was right around
sorry, the date of occupancy was 2020, so we must have bid that project in 2017, which I think is what somebody had mentioned.
Yeah.
And as an aside there, because I know where your concern is, that was a site that was essentially empty, whereas the old mill site is a very complicated site to squeeze another building in. Plus, we have demolition costs involved of the existing facility. And of course, escalation, which everybody knows all too well.
So how does that compare to Severna Park High School that was replaced on this, basically the same site?
Well, that was many years ago now.
Oh, was it? Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Not then it's not relevant. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
Crofton's a better comparison.
Okay, and that does help us. Didn't take into consideration the demo and the type of site there is there. So.
Is there going to
Right.
be a
And it's
lot of,
also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, is there a lot of land issues as well once you tear it down?
Well, it's got it's a huge complex, as you know, that Old Mill site. So when we tear that down, it's deep into the ground. So there's quite a bit of excavation and backfilling that's going to happen when that facility is dropped. Yeah, and then we're building that on a site where we also have Cat North under construction. So there's a lot of stuff happening there. So I prefer clean sites, no doubt about it.
Thank you. So also, then my question was school capacity. Are we all done with redistricting, and with regards to when Old Mill comes online, what is going to be the anticipated capacity once it opens?
Jeff, do you want to take the capacity of Old Mill, and then I can address enrollment projections a little bit and redistricting?
Sure. So I'm just pulling my book up here, so I give you the exact number. So when Old Mill opens, it'll be a capacity of 2,056 students is what it's designed for. And we're looking to see that we think that'll be over 90% capacity the day it opens. So it'll be pretty full.
And as it relates to redistricting, nobody wants to live through redistricting again. I can assure you that, but it's a really challenging process for all families and students involved. So we acknowledge that. But there is growth. You know, even the phase one schools that we did, there just continues to be growth in certain areas, right? And so we'll certainly be keeping an eye on enrollment projections and where they're headed. But Old Mill and Severn Run will be in the 90 to 100% range, which we feel really good about. There are some middle schools that we have that are under enrolled, so what I mean by under enrolled are, you know, they're in larger, older high schools, if you recall. So Lindale was the former Andover High School, you know, and so it appears that it's underutilized, but that's just because it was in a formerly a high school building. In terms of next year's enrollment, we're projecting a very small increase in enrollment, very, very modest. And so the out years are a little bit harder to predict, I think, because of a couple of variables. One is the number of families that are moving out of state. We've seen that. There was a recent report done on that. There are students that are still matriculating or migrating to Anne Arundel County from other school systems because of the quality of the school system, which is really great to see. But our largest increases for enrollment in the past 10 years has been on newcomers and English language learners. We call them ELL students in that category. And so the federal policy, certainly around immigration, has impacted the growth in that area. And so it's something that, while it's predictable at the moment in the current administration, future administrations, it's a little uncertain about whether we would continue to have newcomers and at what rate. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight.
Okay, thank you. Board members, other questions? We're not going to let you off that easy.
That's what I say. I don't want to step on anybody else, but I do have a question because some of these have grants, and I'm looking on page 27, and I have a lot of blue, but for example, Maryland City Elementary School doesn't have any grant money. That seems interesting to me. So I'm just curious as to, it's a new project.
So I think what it is these are new capital projects coming forward. And right. I think the idea is that they would qualify should they come online for IAC funding. Would you say that's correct, Bill?
Yes, I believe so. Thank you, Naomi, for clarifying that.
Okay, so they really should have, I mean, we're
Can-
not funding it all. There's definitely gonna be some grants from
Correct.
federal dollars and everything else that's going into these.
Right, but when you look at the project page, you'll see the funding structure, and on it, they believe they're
On
going
the
to
share drive.
qualify a certain percentage of IAC funding. So they're just disclosing the
Okay.
potential
And
structure.
if you would, please, we mentioned this, but definitely if you can prioritize and give us, top 5, probably, maybe top 3.
We will
And
definitely we'll do that for you. Yeah.
Also, can you go over, because maybe I missed it, project 1827 Central Complex. It's a $221 million project.
Which are you on? Go.
I'm on page 27 of our highlighter.
Oh, I see. Fourth from the bottom. Yeah, fourth from the bottom. Okay.
Jeff, do you want to touch on that for us,
Sure.
please?
So that's not in our current capital request. That's in an out year, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So the step one for that would be to do a comprehensive feasibility study, much like we did for the old mill complex about 10 or so years ago. And the idea being to analyze what to do with those schools on that site, whether they need replacement or just renovations. And if they do need replacement, like we did the old mill complex, how would we accomplish that? So that would be step one. And then the out years would be those projects at each of those schools. Does that answer your question?
No, I'm still confused. What location are you referring to? All locations or?
No, I'm sorry. So this is for where we have Central Middle School and South River High School and Central Special, Central Elementary. It's that complex.
Oh, okay.
And Cat South.
In Cat South. Thanks, Bill.
In Cat South. Okay. That clarifies it. Thank you.
Okay, great.
And because it's complex and it's as Old Mill was, just extremely challenging to try and figure those projects out. It'll take some time to unwind that.
Yeah, I've been on the board, I don't know, 10 years, and we have been talking about Old Mill for 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
We're almost done.
Almost. Okay, board members, what else do we have? Any other questions?
For your athletic improvement facilities, what does that entail? And are the kids getting some kind of field house?
It does, Bill, if you don't mind, I'll field that one. It does not include the field houses. The athletic stadium improvements, that is for refurbishing tracks, running tracks, bleacher replacements typically, and then also stadium lighting and other field lighting projects. And we can give you the specific breakdown of what we're asking for, which projects if you'd like, but that's generally what goes into that category.
And turf renewal, right, Jeff?
And turf renewal, yes.
Yeah.
Do I understand correctly? Every high school now has turf fields?
Yes,
they do.
One other question, and it is along the same lines. The athletic fields and, for example, the school playgrounds, are there any public-private partnerships with either of those?
Typically not that I'm aware of. Bill, do you know? You don't know of any, do you, by chance?
No, I don't know of any either. There are times at which there may be some interest in particularly the playgrounds, but nothing has come to fruition to your point, Ms. Roseberg.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other board members with questions?
Yeah, the bus lot. I'm sorry. Does that include? So that includes like a main. I assume like some type of garage facility. And then is there any? What kind of goes into that besides that?
Yeah, it includes a garage for bus repair. Yes, 100% true. When you say what goes into that, what do you mean?
I mean, is that it? Is it like a maintenance facility? Is there some type of building for drivers or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. So there is administrative offices there as well. So it's a combination of administrative offices. It's bus repair garage. It's also the repair garage for the AACPS vehicle fleet. And then there'll be bus parking, of course, there as well as staff parking.
I do have a question about buses, specifically electric buses. I had talked to a couple of the subcontractors, and I know that they have tried out some electric buses, and it's been a couple years ago. But their comment was, we need 2 electric buses to replace one diesel or gas bus, because we run the route in the morning, and then the bus does not have enough capacity to pick the kids up in the afternoon. So I'm sure that's changed, but can you elaborate on that?
Sure. There's your friend is communicating it accurately to you. That's why we've taken a more conservative approach to moving too fast on it. There have been some neighboring school districts that have really moved fast on going all in, and they experienced several challenges. One was the delivery date and manufacturing of these electric buses takes a long time, and so they rarely come in on time, and then you're stuck without a bus. The other is, and this is something that we will be working through with our routers, is how to route these buses so that you can recharge them. They do need to be, they need to be recharged in the middle of the day. And so our routing system for the school system is a 3-tier model. So we transport in the morning, the elementary school first, then the high school, then they do a high school run, and then they do a middle school run, 3 separate tiers. And then we often have other routes that we do in the middle of the day for various things and programs that kids are going to. And so that is one of the challenges that we have with that, or the number of programs and transportation that we're doing in the middle of the day. So how would you recharge those? So that's a challenge that we've got to work through. The other challenge we have down in the southern part of the county are the routes are much longer. And so the buses are on the road for a longer period of time. And that also presents another challenge for us. So you bring up some good questions.
Okay, thank you. Board members, anything else?
I guess I just have one quick question about the facility as well. Are you going to have any form of gas on that facility since it's tough to transfer so much?
To be determined. We're just actually getting started on the design, and that's one of the questions we're going to be talking with our team about.
Understood. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, well, we're right on schedule. It's 1:30, and looks like we're out of questions. But if you can send us a prioritized list, that would be wonderful. And thank you very much for your presentation. And I wish we could fund all these projects, but that's not possible.
We understand. Thank you very much for your time and all your past support and anything in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on. It's 1:30, and we're going to switch over to community college.
Us okay to start? Very good.
Hello, hi.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. I'm Melissa Beardmore, one of the vice presidents at Arundel Community College. And I believe I have Jim Taylor
who is our Executive Director of Administrative Services, so basically all things facilities related, and color commentary from Andrew Little, if necessary. He's our Associate Vice President for in our division, so really the finance person. So,
Melissa, one question. I'll stop you there for one second. Why did you put snow in the background? Couldn't you put palm trees or some pretty blue water?
my capabilities here in technology, Gus, are limited. So this is one of the backgrounds that's chosen, and it's pretty realistic right now, sadly.
Very, very realistic, and it's appropriate, I guess, for the weather we've had.
Absolutely. Great question. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. I believe I have that ability. Just give me a second. Madeline, can you see the screen? I can see you. So
yes, I can
got
see
it.
the screen.
You're good.
Okay. So thank you all very much for your time. We have our standard presentation with you, and we'll walk through each project. So for context, you will hopefully recall that our capital budget is really the financial manifestation of our comprehensive facilities master plan, which is required by the state. In the state of Maryland, community colleges are required to complete a facilities master plan every 10 years. And you will see here, there's a link at the bottom. We recently submitted our updated plan to the state earlier this year. And all of the projects that you will see, for the most part, are in the facilities master plan and have to be in order for us to obtain the state funding match. It's up to 50% state funding match to county dollars for eligible projects. Our disclaimer here that we have to provide to you is that this is our preliminary capital budget. Our capital program has not yet been approved by our board. We have a board budget workshop, which is a work session with our board coming up this Thursday. And then the full board is scheduled to approve our capital budget on February 24th. And then we will submit our operating and our capital budget requests to the county executive shortly thereafter. ACC does things a little different in terms of how we present our projects. This is a document that we use to present the current year, the 5 years out and beyond for each project. You see at the top, there's a blank where it lists new construction projects. Consistent with our facilities master plan, we do not have any new projects scheduled. We're pretty much taking care of what we have. So you see that in the renovations section, renovations of existing buildings. And then in that bottom section, repairs, replacements, and improvements, that's really our deferred maintenance type projects. And Jim is going to walk us through each of those projects, and please ask us any questions along the way. So we're going to focus on our renovation projects, which, as I shared, generally eligible for up to 50% state funding match. Jim.
Okay, so the first project that we're going to go through here is the Dragon Science Building Renovation Project. If you recall, that is a comprehensive renovation of our science building on the campus. We have currently completed the design process, and our board has approved the final guaranteed maximum price for the renovation of the facility. We have placed temporary labs in the careers building to allow physical science classes to continue throughout the renovation period. And we have just started the demolition portion of the Dragon renovation project earlier this month. Construction substantial completion for this project is expected in August of 2027. And just a reminder that the design and construction phases of this project were split funded over several fiscal years, and that $715,000 in state funding has been deferred to FY28 based on current state projections. So we've also adjusted the overall state funding share to reflect the anticipated support as we approach the final contract approval. Okay. The Floristano renovation. This project, we previously renovated the 4th floor of the building, which it was completed several years ago in 2024. It contains the college's new Learning Innovation Center. That center provides production facilities for faculty and students to create online content, spaces for faculty to teach online courses, and offers open computer labs where students can take online courses while they're on campus. That renovation work for the other floors, 1 through 3, began in July of 2025, and we expect substantial completion in July of this year. We are in the process of ordering furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the project, which we expect to be delivered throughout the fall of this year. And there were no changes in funding levels from the previous year on this project. Our HCAT relocation project. Over the years, the college's HCAT facility in Glen Burnie has experienced severe settlement issues. The college continues to make repairs where it can, but the settlement issues have become increasingly concerning. The existing floor structure exhibits substantial settlement, with cracking and sub-slab piping systems have actually separated in several locations due to the settlement. So these issues were documented in an engineering study completed by the county in February of 23. Several options were considered to remediate the settlement issues. All options came at significant cost and disruption to activities in the facility. So after reevaluation by the college and discussions with the county, the college has determined that relocating the Glen Burnie and Humanities HCAT functions into a single location at the Arundel campus was the most sensible and cost-effective solution. This project remains a high priority for the project. We submitted a Part 1 and Part 2 program to the state for their funding participation in March of 25, and we will be conducting tours of the various HCAT facility locations with state agency representatives in early June of this year. Okay. The careers renovation for the math relocation. So the current conditions have us housing math faculty in undersized and inadequate office space, while their primary math lab and its support staff are currently located several buildings away in the careers facility. This project will consolidate math faculty, math instructional space, and the math lab in a contiguous area on the first floor of the careers building. As a reminder, the Dragon Building project initially included an addition to the building in order to house the math classes and faculty. That addition was removed when initial estimates came in almost double our original estimates. We still need a solution for the math program, and this project provides that solution. Once the Dragon Building renovation is complete, staff and functions that temporarily occupied the first floor of careers will move back to Dragon, and the vacated space in careers will be renovated to house the consolidated math department. So this project is supported by the facilities master plan and is required for us to proceed with the renovation of the math CDC building, which is later down the road here. The Student Services Center would be the next project on our list, and when the Floristano renovation is completed this year, the Student Services building will be vacated. So the renovation of the Student Services building will include event space, student life, student government offices, and other functions typically found in a student union engagement building. So we are currently reviewing the final draft of the Part 1 and Part 2 program, and we'll be submitting that to the state for their funding participation on March 1st of this year. The costs for this project have been escalated from last year's request to reflect the latest estimates from the estimator who did our master plan work. Okay. We then come to the math building renovation, which I mentioned earlier. So the math building was originally constructed in 1986 and is a little over 13,000 gross square feet. During the pandemic, the college permanently closed the Child Development Center that was located on the first floor of the building, which currently remains vacant. More recently, the addition to the Dragon Science Building was deleted from that project, thereby leaving the math faculty in undersized, antiquated office spaces separated from their large math lab in the careers building. So once the math department relocates to its new location in the careers building, this building will be vacant and ready for a comprehensive renovation. As part of our recent master plan evaluation of space, it was determined that this building's location on Ring Road and adjacency to parking lots A and B is an ideal location to house the college's bookstore. And moving the bookstore to the first floor of this facility would provide it more visibility and improve access for members of the college community and campus visitors. The renovated second floor of this facility will provide office space for staff members from the Learning Resources Management departments that currently occupy the modular resource management building on the south end of our campus. Once completed, this renovation will allow us to remove the outdated modular resource management building and continue to consolidate campus space. Okay. So now move into basically our capital budget request for repairs, replacements, and improvements. So the campus improvements account. So the funds that we usually request in the campus improvements account allows the college to properly address unexpected emergencies as well as high priority deferred maintenance issues. So as an example, we recently utilized campus improvement funds to quickly replace a defective transformer that affected our testing center and bookstore in the student union right when testing was going to occur for the fall semester. So our FY27 and our future FY28 request has been increased to address a portion of our immediate and high priority projects identified in our 2024 facilities condition assessment. Out-year costs have been escalated by 3.5% to reflect current construction escalation rates per the state of Maryland's Department of General Services. So you'll see a slight increase each year for that 3.5% requested anyway. This request has been aligned over the next two budget cycles to address immediate and high priority items. And once these items are resolved, we plan to revert to an inflation adjusted request consistent with prior annual submissions. Our walkways and roads and parking lot project request. Over the years, funding from this project has allowed us to replace asphalt walkways, repair and repave portions of outdated parking areas, and address ADA site issues throughout the campus. Funding for FY27 will be used to repair or replace deteriorated concrete walks and brick paver areas at various locations on the Arundel campus. Any remaining funds will be used to seal coat and restripe college parking lots. FY27 and out-year costs in this request have been escalated again to reflect previous years where we asked for no escalation. So we're just trying to keep up with current trends in construction cost escalation. Our systemics projects. So this project or fund was originally initiated by John Hammond. It is funded every other year with state facilities renewal grant dollars and matching county funds. It typically addresses larger replacement projects like chillers, air handlers, etc. Systemics projects are typically deferred maintenance projects identified again in our facilities condition assessment. No new funding is being requested this year. However, we will be requesting county funding and leveraging state funding support in FY28 to continue to address our critical deferred maintenance backlog.
So, finishing where we ended up, which is really the summary of all of our projects, showing the current year, prior years, current years, and 5 years out, as Jim just described each project. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And thank you for your support for your community's college.
A technical question. Can you go back one slide, please? And is that on the share drive? I assume it is, Jesse or Maddie?
Yes, it's on the share drive.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I have one question, and that's the HCAT building in Glen Burnie. Is that building county owned?
Correct.
Yes.
It is county owned. Okay.
Yes.
And in relocating down to the main site, would this 10 or was it 10 or $12 million, is that a new building, or would that be moving into an existing building?
It'd be building an addition to an existing building. Our Clausen, named after the Clausen family, Clausen Center for Innovation and Skilled Trades. The HCAT folks would move into an addition to that skilled trades building.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think once again, can you please submit rank order your priorities? Because unfortunately, I have some new projects that are.
Sure, we can do that. Sure.
Thank you.
That's good. It's good to see that the Dragon building is moving forward, and it'll be nice to see that when it's done.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful building.
Board members, are there any other questions? Okay, and one question I always ask is in current enrollment, and how has that stabilized, and what do the numbers look like currently?
Sure. We've seen enrollment growth overall, really post-COVID for every year post-COVID. We're seeing anywhere from 3 to 4% enrollment growth in our full-time equivalent. So that's great for our community and for our students.
Okay, thank you. One question, and I don't know why, for some reason in my mind, I thought that the community college had looked at buying the property where the golf center is. And maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe I just thought it would be a really good idea. And I know there's been a lot of talk about housing being built there. Can you expand on that?
We're watching, like you are, what's happening with the plans for that property. But we have not looked at that as something we need to acquire. We are in again, it's documented in our master plan, and our board agrees that we are in a mode of taking care of the facilities that we have. We do not have plans for expansion post-COVID, with students and our faculty becoming more and more comfortable with robust online learning. So the built environment that we have less of a need for expansion. So again, taking care of the facilities that we have, as you mentioned, the woefully inadequate Dragon building, which we're thrilled that the county and you all are supporting that much needed renovation, and then renovating the spaces that we have has been our focus. So we're monitoring the project next door, like any good neighbor would, and not interested in procuring that space and expanding.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any other questions?
I've taken classes in that math building, and they were tough.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yes, we understand. And we've actually had questions from this group previously about what's happening with the math space. I think you have new members now, but we're very hopeful that that you and the county will support our request for that new project to relocate math classrooms and math faculty and staff over to the careers building.
Okay, thank you. Any other board members, questions? No questions? Well, thank you very much, Melissa and Tim, for your presentation. And we will do what we can.
We appreciate it. We know you have a tough job, so thank you for your support.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Nice weekend.
Okay. Jessica, if you can check with Skip and Jack Martin, and maybe we can take a break now and get Skip on around 2 o'clock instead of 2:15. See if we can bump everybody up a little bit.
Yes. Why don't we take a break and I can work on that in the in between.
So we'll take a 10 or 15 minute break.
We are now recording.
All righty. Welcome back, everyone. It is the Planning Advisory Board meeting, February 13th. It's 2:09. And we're going to continue our capital budget presentations. And at this time, we will have the library present their budget. Skip and everyone, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and Planning Advisory Board members. It's great to be here. I look forward to this meeting every year. It's really good to meet with you to get a chance to kind of go over the program that we have, our aspirations and projects underway, and so on. I want first to introduce our team. Maribel Ibrahim is putting our slides up, and so Maribel is our facilities director. Cedric Grant is our chief financial officer, and Rudy Rodell is our chief technology officer. So the four of us are all available to answer questions. Maribel will be the person leading most of the slides. And Maribel, if you could go to this next slide on our strategic plan. Let's see, I think it was November, our Board of Trustees adopted a new strategic plan for 2026 through 2028. The plan is titled "The Library is Where You Belong," and we have built a lot of our culture of our organization and the way we provide services around the idea of belonging. Kindness, curiosity, and belonging are core values that have carried through from the previous plan up to the present, and we live those values daily. Our plan really is built around 4 pillars leading to 4 outcomes. And the pillars are free and open access. And a lot of times you'll think of libraries being the sort of a bastion of intellectual freedom. We certainly are proud that we became a book sanctuary in September of 2024. And we're here to make sure that we provide books based on good, solid collection development principles. We don't take books off our shelves because individuals or groups don't like the books. We will review books, but that's a core part of our first pillar, free and open access. Second, we support belonging and lifelong learning for all ages. So we have a strong kindergarten readiness program, but really at every stage of life, we are here helping people connect with resources and spaces. Rudy was talking about being in the meeting room there at the Corpus Christi Library and being able to use the library for that purpose. So business meetings happen. We've been adding privacy pods in our libraries, and we actually have bond initiatives we've put forward with the state to get more of those. That allows people to do such things as conduct telehealth appointments and all kinds of things there. So the third of our pillars is serving neighborhoods with purpose. So we are strongly connected with all the neighborhoods surrounding our libraries. We have 16 library locations. Every one of our libraries has a service area, and we connect with the schools, we connect with community associations and businesses in all of those communities. So we take seriously, and every branch manager and every staff member in each branch is looking to meet needs of those communities. And then finally, we are one of our last pillar of our plan, which will go forth into 2028, is that we want our staff and leadership to thrive. So we are trying to be a supportive organization, making sure we are fulfilling the needs of not only our community, but also our staff. So our leadership of our staff, we do everything we can to be very collaborative. So with that, I just want to let Maribel talk about all the projects that are there on your highlighter sheets. So Maribel, why don't you take it from here?
Okay, thank you, Skip. And I'm going to go ahead and review all of our projects. It's my privilege to introduce our 2027 capital budget request slate. And as you can see from this slide, it's pretty full. We have a very ambitious program. We have one new project, and we have two new projects where feasibility studies were completed, and all the remaining projects are currently under design. The first project on the list, Mountain Road, addresses the need for us to have a full-service permanent library location that has a meeting room, conference spaces, and study spaces. The current space is revered by the Lakeshore community. The space is popular and it's easily accessible, but we don't anticipate being able to occupy any other additional spaces there. It's only 4,000 square feet, and this is our smallest location. We really do need to have meeting room locations and collaboration spaces to make it a full-service library. Moving on to our annual repair and renovations funding, we're requesting an annual increase from $350,000 to $375,000. This line item has not been increased for 12 years, but we are seeing increases in construction costs, and furniture and equipment costs have nearly doubled. This increase would allow us to keep pace of the rising cost of both items and allow us to continue to refresh our libraries. The first child project on the list is our Crofton expansion. The current meeting room capacity is only 50 people because we do not have a second emergency exit. A feasibility study determined that a meeting room could be placed, we could have increased restroom space, and we could streamline storage and other areas that posed many problems. Having that extra emergency exit allows us to increase the capacity in the meeting room from 50 people to 200 people. Our second child project in the repair and renovations bucket is the Deal Library expansion. We completed another successful feasibility study that determined we can expand our meeting room space, increase restroom facilities, add study spaces, expand the children's area, and improve the general flow of the area. The community park that's being built adjacent to the Deal Library does not have restroom facilities. So the Deal Library will serve as a pivotal resource for both library customers and park customers. The project would add 4,100 square feet to the existing building size of 8,730 square feet. So essentially adding a third of the size of that building. The Glen Burnie Library is in the design stage. The change in funding represents the spreading out the additional funding from what was originally funded in 27 and spreading it out over 2 years. This better reflects the actual timeline of this project, which is currently under design. And lastly on that list, the Brooklyn Park Library renovation is currently under design after successfully determining the feasibility of installing an elevator, adding conference room spaces, expanding study areas, and locating staff so that they're all on one floor and in the same area. We were also able to increase the number of public restrooms. There's only one upstairs during design. But during design, we found that the infrastructure is failing. The roof, HVAC, or the air conditioning, and the single pane windows really cannot sustain this new upgrade. In addition, we just learned this week that the local government energy modernization grant has awarded funding for Anne Arundel County, including Brooklyn Park Library, to receive solar panels. We certainly can't install solar panels on the roof in the condition that it's in now. Our next slide details our priority ranking of all these projects. Of course, Glen Burnie's currently on the list, and we appreciate the funding for that. And the schematic design is complete. We're hoping that we will have a design build contractor in place by April or May. In terms of new projects or the projects for 2027, Brooklyn Park remains our highest priority for this year. Again, this is a project that's already been started, and we really do need funding in 27 to add the new roof, HVAC, and the windows. If we don't do this, we're eventually going to have to do it again anyway, and we would have two major disruptions for this location, and it would be at a higher cost as opposed to starting the project now in 27 and incorporating all the design elements of the feasibility study and all the building upgrades. Our second priority is increasing the repair and renovations funds. We have been very fortunate to complete a lot of building refreshes with the funds that were in place, but we've now exhausted all those funds, and we really are not able to keep pace with the costs of projects. We've had to defer projects, and we really do need to consider an increase for each year of $375. Our third priority is the Deal expansion. Again, adding 4,100 square feet will allow us to meet increased use, and it would allow us to provide more services at half the cost of a new building. This renovation will also allow us to serve the South County area for decades to come. Our fourth priority is the Crofton expansion. Enlarging the meeting room capacity will allow us to have more community space and will allow more programs to be conducted in the meeting room. We currently do most of our programming in the children's area just because they're very popular and very large. And lastly, our Mountain Road Library. A feasibility study was completed to determine the available property, and negotiations are already underway with county real estate to take ownership of this property. Our funding request would start at FY 2029, and it would allow us to design and construct a brand new full-size 20,000 square foot location, which would improve on our current location, which is only 4,000 square feet. Now, they say a picture tells 1,000 words, and so I wanted to quickly share a few pictures of some of our projects. This here is our Brooklyn Park Library. To the left is the upstairs level, and to the right is the lower level. And most people forget that this is a two-floor facility. Our lower floor has meeting room space. We do have some staff members that are using an old closet as office space, and we have some restrooms. The upstairs houses the principal library. And unfortunately, without an elevator, people that want to use both spaces but have mobility issues either just make the choice to not use the other space, or they have to walk around outside to use the space. The blue and yellow areas highlight all the improvements that would be made with the current project that has been funded and is under design. The FY 27 request would allow us to receive enough funding to get a new roof, new HVAC, and replace the single pane windows, which are not to code and go all around the whole building. So we believe that this would be a huge benefit for Brooklyn Park. This library services a large community that is dependent on library resources, especially computing and digital needs. And so we feel that this is a very good use of funds. This next picture shows the Crofton Library. And to just orient you really quickly, this bottom here is where the existing lobby and entry space is. The project, which reflects the tan area here, would be the addition of an emergency room exit right here in the meeting room space. This allows us, even though the meeting room space itself doesn't increase in size significantly, adding that extra emergency door allows us to increase the capacity of that meeting room. In the meantime, we were able to fix a lot of storage problems, which allows us to have a more expanded restroom area, increased and better storage, and better flow into that meeting room space. And this last picture is for the Deal Library. Now, to orient you for Deal, the right side of the building is our front entry. So this is our entry space here. Deal initially was a cross building, the shape of a cross. And as you can see, it's gone through on the left side quite a few renovations in the past. We really are looking to expand our meeting room size, which is currently reflected in the pale teal area, by expanding the face of the complete front of the building, including these larger rectangular spaces, this lobby space, and this new space here. It allows us to expand the meeting room, expand the children's area, add a restroom, and co-locate the staff centrally so that they're all in one location with plenty of space for them to do their work. Additionally, the community park, which you can't see it on this graph, but if you could just imagine it above the library, that's where the community park is going to be placed. And as I said before, they will have no restrooms there. There is going to be a sort of walkway integrated into the Deal Library. And we believe that this would be an excellent synergy to combine programming with Recs and Parks. And also, this is another reason why this project is very important for us. And with that, that concludes my portion of the presentation, and I'm ready for questions.
Thank you very much, Skip and Maribel. I only had one question, and that was the Brooklyn, the solar panels, the grant. Does that grant cover the full installation of the solar panels if the roof is able to be repaired and accept the solar panels?
Yeah, and I apologize. There's an ambulance riding through. Okay. Sorry about that. At this point, it's too early to determine because I don't know what the funding amount is going to be for the local government environment modernization, energy modernization program. The county actually requested $14 million for that program, and we're only receiving $4 million. But Brooklyn Park was viewed as a priority, and they've already determined that that project is going to get solar panels. So I can get more information on that and provide that detail.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any questions?
Did you say you... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ms. Lou.
Sorry, Lawrence. How much did the elevator end up costing at Brooklyn Park Library?
Well, it's not just the elevator, and that's already been funded. The initial cost for the elevator was probably about $500,000 to $750,000. However, with our initial ask, we tacked on another extra $1 million or so because we had so many space enhancements. We were able to add a small conference room downstairs. We were able to add 3 extra bathrooms upstairs for the public, and also co-locate the staff. We have some staff that are using an old closet downstairs because they just don't have space. And then we definitely appreciated
this. Carpet and everything too. Didn't you get new furniture? You got carpet?
We have recently gotten new carpeting, new shelving, and we did get some foundation funded furnishings. But when we were doing the design and the request for the improvement of the space itself, that's when we realized the roof and the HVAC and the windows are just in really terrible shape, and they really do have to be replaced. So our 26 ask didn't include those costs. We requested $4.2 million to do the whole inside of the library, which is a huge, huge enhancement. We're now requesting another $4.7 million to replace the roof, the windows, and the HVAC. And at this point, if we do all these modifications, that library would essentially function as a new building. It's located in a great location. We don't really need to expand the size a whole lot, and we're getting so many amenities placed into the library, so many things that our customers don't have now, that it's really going to be a terrific investment as opposed to building a brand new building. We also have the community park. There's another noticing a trend here, but there is a community park that's placed adjacent to this library. The park itself has just opened, and it primarily is going to be activated for intramural and recreational sports. There's going to be a community center building that's going to be placed there. And again, we see a lot of synergy with that, but that also means a lot of traffic. We're probably going to be seeing a lot of sports traffic from people that live all around Anne Arundel County and even in different counties as they compete in sports.
Come forward. So, to follow up on that, a couple other questions. You on your priority list, and I may be missing something, but I'm looking at page 33. And so I don't see Deal listed as a separate number or Crofton.
Yes, and that's a great question. That's because they are considered child projects of repair and renovations. So if you look at repair and renovations, which is L479600,
Okay.
nested under those are Crofton and
Okay.
Deal.
And Maddie just wrote the same thing. So thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
And
and we
then
did that because we worked with DPW because they are not new buildings, they're renovations, and because we started feasibility studies with those, we went ahead and nested those as repair and renovations.
okay. So one, if you go back, I don't know if you can go back, but I have your priority list. One is Brooklyn, two is library renovations, which covers Deal and Crofton. So that really isn't 3 and 4 because it's all under 2. Am I?
Well, the number 2 request is to actually, there's 2 things happening with repair and renovations. We have child projects, and then we also get annual funding every year for repair and renovations. This is just for general upkeep, for just maintaining our 17 locations. It may not end up in a particular project. It's just doing things like replacing ceiling tiles or putting in new carpentry or putting in a new door entry or doing
Right.
some minor modifications. So the
So-
second priority is actually, I'm sorry, the second priority is actually asking for increased funding for that annual allotment of general repair and renovations. And then 3 and 4 are the other child projects.
Is it broken out as such on our share drive? Jesse or Maddie? Is that slide broken out like what she showed us before as 1, 2, 3, 4 on the share drive?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
slides
I'll
are
share my presentation again just to
Okay. Okay.
so
And
we can all
then
be on the same page here. So the costs have been broken out. For repair and renovations, just in terms of the annual funding, we're looking at the 375. And then the Deal expansion and the Crofton expansion also have been broken out.
okay, and then if you hold that right now, on page 33, we have 2 lines. You have the Mountain Road Library relocation and then the new Mountain Road Library. One, we're saving money. One, you're asking for a lot. So
Those are 2 separate projects. The relocation is, we're actually closing that project out, and that's why there's a negative number in that line. The new Mountain Road Library, the L000827, that's a brand new project for the brand new library.
okay, well, I think they got switched because Mountain Road Library relocation versus is 827, and then 800 is new Mountain Road Library. So anyway, okay, we got it. We'll figure it out. Thank you.
It could be, yeah, and it's a little tricky because we did relocate the library initially, and so it's easy to see why there's that confusion. The funding that's lower and the one that's going negative reflects the fact that we completed that project, we had funds remaining, and we're now releasing those funds and closing that project. That was to actually move us to Lakeshore. And we did that in 2024.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, board members, any other questions?
Just real quick, does that mean Glen Burnie's already on the top of the list and then Brooklyn Park and so forth down like that?
Yes, and really the only change with Glen Burnie, there's no increase or decrease in funding. It's just being smoothed out across 2 years as opposed to putting it all in 27.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And wasn't with the Glen Burnie location, weren't you going to relocate an archives collection there, or is that something different?
Yeah, that's actually the cultural section was going to be moving an archaeology lab. This is an office of the Office of Planning and Zoning. So their archaeology lab will be co-located with the library. They'll be on the second floor. it'll be a 2-story building.
That project has about 32,000 square feet of library and 8,000 square feet for cultural resources. So it's going to be a tremendous project. It'll be on 2 levels in the same location. It's just, it's going to be really exciting to get that library open in a couple of years.
Yeah, that's a really good project. Okay, board members, anything else? Any other questions? No? Well, thank you, all library
Okay, thank you.
folks that you were here a little bit early and help us wrap up a little bit early today. And hopefully we can fund as much as we can. And we thank you for your presentation. And it's always good to see everyone.
Great to see you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, everyone.
And we're in luck because the Office of Information Technology was also able to join us early. So they're transferring over to be panelists now, and we'll be able to roll into our next presentation whenever they're ready.
What page are we looking at by chance?
They have 2. It's in page 3 for the general county class, and then page 7 for public safety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Is everybody ready? Are you ready?
I believe we are all ready. The floor is yours.
They're with us here. Thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it. I'm Jack Martin, the CIO, also called the Information Technology Officer from Information Technology. With me today is my deputy, Mike Tarquinio, and our lead admin, Kay Hoffman. I think we've seen you all in previous years, so great to see you again for those who are back for another rousing rendition of PAB. So today I'm going to show some slides, if that's okay. Can I share now? Is that good?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yes.
As long.
Great. Okay. Okay. Office of Information Technology. So our mission stays the same. We did streamline it a little bit, but it remains the same. Being a trusted partner, delivering secure services that meet the needs of the county departments, and providing the essential tools where people need them. There's lots of trends affecting IT. You can read about them in the news, and I could tell you, I could talk for hours about it. But really, the most important thing to talk to you about trends affecting information technology are that in the past couple decades, we've really gone from information technology supporting in a supporting role in some departments to a situation where most departments depend on information technology to deliver their services. So we're really integral. It's become very important for information technology to understand and support all of the department's needs and really come in with the right services so that our departments and their very important services are meeting the needs of the citizens. This is just a quick slide. I certainly won't read it all, but just to show that there's lots of different groups, 7 or 8 different groups, depending on how you look at it within information technology. Any particular project or technology might involve 1 to 5 of these, say, depending on what it is that we're delivering, but certainly network and telecom, server operations. We're about half on premise and half in the cloud now in terms of our servers. OIT administration, Kay and I and Mike are administration, taking care of the personnel, but also the very important purchases. We purchase over 200 different kinds of software every year and maintain those. Applications, project management, radio system, and security. So these 4 areas, I believe we showed them last year, but they continue to be our priority areas. The cloud application backbone, which is not just us getting to the internet. It's really about when we talk about the cloud, the fiber backbone, and reaching to data centers. What we're really talking about is extensions of our network. So it used to be, years ago, all of our tools were inside our network, inside our buildings. But now, over half our services are located other places. So it doesn't just mean, hey, we need to get our people connected to the internet. We're actually taking pieces of these data centers and making them part of our network. It needs to be secure, it needs to be managed, and we need to be on top of all those operations. Public safety, again, absolutely one of our priority areas, if not our key priority area continues to be that. We put a lot of resources in there, and with your help, we put a lot of our funding in there as well. Constituent-centric services. So in this area, we're seeing continuing to serve areas like online payments, which we've increased and improved over the past few years, and we're not doing that by ourselves. We're working very closely with our departments, such as always finance, but in some cases, inspections and permits if it's about a permitting system. Also, we're continuing to make improvements in the permitting system, often called Loon, which runs an Acela backend system, and we're bringing more and more capabilities to those areas. And security is always important. What I typically say is if we don't have security, we don't have anything. We're continuing to prioritize security. We've got more and more MFA protected systems. Everything that touches our internal network is all MFA protected at this point. And now we are MFA protecting applications that our users use directly in the cloud that don't touch our network. So continues to be a huge priority for us and will always be so. So here's our budget request in one single table view for OIT. We've C5-19600 is always our kind of our biggest area where we have large IT projects as well as infrastructure costs for networks, servers, and PCs. And so that's usually our biggest request. The other areas, cable TV, fiber network, public safety radio systems, the public safety tech enhancements, which is largely oriented towards mobile technology for our public safety personnel, and the Greenberry Point Tower restoration. So we have 4 new additions to the OIT enhancement that makes up the bulk of the request for C5-19600. And I'll go over those 4 now. It adds up to just under 9 million in terms of the request. We have network area where we're replacing critical network hardware no longer supported by the manufacturer. So for it to be secure, we have to stay up with the times. We have to keep these switches, routers, firewalls, and our CCTV cameras all patched and up to date. And when we can't patch them any longer, we need to replace them with new ones. We're also replacing the whole back end of the VoIP or IP phone system that the county uses. That's a mandatory upgrade from Cisco, which is the technology provider that we use. We historically have had that on premise, but we need to move to their cloud system, and that is underway now. So that will all be cloud-based. Munis replacement. So Munis is our financial system, and we're requesting funding to support moving about half of that, which is the water billing system, to a new system, which will better integrate and help finance and DPW in terms of their data flow and information flow. It will also help the customers because we're looking for a system that will integrate both the customer portal along with the calculations of the water bills all into one system. So this is a request to replace half of the Munis system, our financial system, and then we would replace the other half, which is tax billing, at a later date next year. We'd probably request that. The third item would be an e-builder replacement. This is primarily a DPW need. They are looking for better support for the capital programs. So this system that we're looking at has both capital program management as well as overall project management, and a very heavy external portal to share information with their consultants that work on their capital programs with them and support their capital program needs. And the other good facet of this system we're looking at is it would integrate directly with the new financial system. So we see that as really important in having capital programs directly integrating with the financial system so that we can move data back and forth between that and then the third system, which is the cloud personnel system, so that we can get information on personnel and the costs there tightly integrated with the financial system and capital program management. The last item is for Microsoft licenses, which are at end of life. We do have a number of departments that are mandated to use Microsoft Office due to, and not just Google, because they're either part of the state entity, like say the health department, or they work constantly with state entities, like all the public safety entities need the Microsoft Office licenses. We don't have an enterprise agreement, so we save money by buying the licenses and using them till end of life. At this point, for next year, we have $842,000 worth of licenses at end of life, which will need to be replaced. This is same view of the same 6 projects that we have that we're requesting funds for, but gives the out years. And I can come back to any of these. And then lastly, I wanted to show C519600 and the details there. So what we do is we group these into 4 different groups: corporate infrastructure, public safety, enterprise, and network and security. And this adds up to make up the whole request, which is a little over 17 million. Our large projects typically are located in the corporate infrastructure, in the enterprise area. And the corporate infrastructure is going to cover mostly what it sounds like. It's infrastructure that's not network. So it's PCs and servers, also some tablets, conference room technology, which we've been upgrading. Public safety speaks for itself. That's a mix of hardware and software oriented towards supporting our public safety partners, but mostly software and large projects. Most of this request we have here is for support of the ongoing CAD upgrade project. In the enterprise area, this is where we've bundled the requests that we have there that are new, the Munis water billing replacement, as well as the e-builder engineering document replacement and capital program management system. Network and security pretty much speaks for itself, but so that is the mix of it's all different kinds of hardware that support our network infrastructure and get us over to our fiber. That is, I think, the last slide. So do we have any questions about our request, our funding request today?
Well, thank you for your presentation. I do have a question. You talked a lot about security. I know that the county is insured for I guess it's ransom insurance or whatever they call. There was an incident a while back. What has been done to prevent that from happening again? And what was the result of that ransom demand?
Sure. So we've released everything that we can based on what council is allowing us to talk about at this point. So everything we have to say is on the website on that. It wasn't an incident, as you mentioned, from of external origin. It did affect our systems for a few days, in some cases a couple weeks. We are fully recovered. We have done a number of things. We were already doing a number of things, like we hired a CIO before any of this. I'd say security has been a priority since I started this job. So most of the things that we have done were things that were already on our plans to be done. We have pushed some of them forward, including these MFA, multi-factor authentication projects that I was talking about. So those are some of the key things that we pushed harder on and got completed, and we still have some of the external system MFA items that we're working on now.
Thank you. And then I guess a general question. I know it's a Herculean task to relocate the 911 call center and integrate all the departments. Can you just expand a little bit of how physically that is done, how one center is operating today and then the new center is operating tomorrow? Just gives us an idea of how much work it is.
Sure. That is a lot of work. So there's no doubt. It's a very big project. So besides designing and building out the system, which is going on now, building the new center, putting the technology in and putting the making it operational are all associated large projects. So if we say, assume that we've designed it right and we understand what's needed, moving people into it would be similar to the way we move people into the RCC now. So we have a backup call center up in Glen Burnie at the EOC. And if we're working on the primary call center now, we typically move the operation up to the backup call center. And the call takers take calls from there. So all the same software is working there. It's just a little smaller, so people are a little more cramped, but they make do, and they're able to take all their calls there. So when it's time, the building's built out, and we will engage to help put in all of the. Our teams even get involved in building out the right desks and putting the monitors on, because a lot of these folks have these racks with 5 different monitors because they're looking at so many different systems at the same time. We will get involved in that area from OIT, and we'll make sure with the vendor that everything is running by testing it and actually getting in there and testing it. And then the reason I brought up the backup call center, moving people into it, we would probably move one shift at a time. And we would be working very closely with, OIT doesn't make these decisions. We work with police and fire, and they would decide what shift and when and who goes in there. They would be helping us with all the testing. They would be verifying that, yes, the system is good to go. And then when it's time, we would be there. The vendor would be there with us, and the call takers, we would switch it over, just like going to the backup call center in Glen Burnie now, except we would be going to the new call center down on Generals Highway.
Very good. That's an amazing amount of work.
It is, and we're probably maybe halfway into that, probably not even quite halfway. So it is a lot of work yet to come on that, a lot of coordination. And that's all, I think we're through most of the planning phases now, but a lot of coordination getting it built and making sure that that everything is in the right place for the operation to appropriately take place.
And when that's complete, will fire and police, EMS, they'll all be on the same system?
Yes, they're on the same system now, but they will be co-located in the same, the call takers will be in the same building. So that's the main difference is right now they take calls on the same system and they can see each other's calls. But they in the future, they'll actually be co-located, and there's some portion of the call takers would likely be cross-trained to take, but I'm not making those decisions. So let me back off of that a little bit. But anyway, there's it'll be different in that way. And the main difference is co-location in the same building. And I think they're going to have one group of call takers. That's the future.
Very good. Board members, any questions?
I had a question. I'm not sure exactly if it falls under you or not because I can't remember, but there was in the budget, and I was trying to find it last year, to try and get fiber optic cable in South County in some of those further remote areas. I didn't see that. Is that complete?
Yes, it's complete. That's on your sheet. There are 3 items that we requested funding in previous years, last year, the year before, that we didn't request any funding in this year. And the reason is, there's 2 reasons. The one, the South County fiber is complete, and the other 2 projects are underway. So the other, we have another project where we're actually working with the state and with Comcast to provide fiber, to provide connectivity to some households. It was eight households in the county who have really long driveways. And so there was there was broadband at the street, but they have a long driveway, so it didn't come up their driveway. So there was a grant from the state to help with that. And then the other project is the E-rate project. So yes. Good news on that one. It was completed. It's very successful. And actually some thank you letters came in from people who live on that road, which we usually don't see. But some people did take the time to thank the county for that work. And I can understand you would not want to live in a place where you couldn't have any connectivity. It's really becoming pretty critical these days.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah. Any other board member questions? I have one question about Greenberry Point.
Yes.
I know we discussed it last year. I can't remember. Did you tear 2 of the 3 towers down and fix one, or what was the resolve of that? I can't remember.
So that's still underway. And we just got the paperwork back from the Navy. So they had that for about 9 months while they were reviewing it because it's on their property. And originally, we bought the towers, but we didn't buy the property. So the plan is to remove 2 out of the 3 or do maintenance, but we have to do one or the other. And we plan to do whichever one is less expensive. And what we just got back was a lengthy set of comments from the Navy, as well as all the appropriate environmental regulations associated with this, because the towers are all painted. It's got old paint on it. There's rust. There's old steel. So that's where we are. We're since they just turned that around, we're reviewing all their comments. We'll address any comments they have that we have questions about back with them, and then we will be putting it out to bid.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, any other questions?
Sorry, one more on that. I was muted. Will there be a public meeting for the communities before?
I'm sure there will be. That's a very public thing. So people have all kinds of feelings about the towers. So we understand that.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay, is that it? No other questions? Thank you, IT department, very much for all you do, and good luck with that 911 call center.
Thank you. We appreciate it. I appreciate the board's time. Have a great afternoon. Any questions? Don't feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out. We'll take care of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, board members, with that, we'll wrap up. We have wrapped up. That concludes our budget presentations for today. We do have a little bit of admin stuff we need to go over. But just remember, next week, same place, same time. And I would, Jesse knows if you can just send out an email that the presenters, if we are a little bit ahead of schedule, if they can be a little flexible, it helps so we can wrap up earlier. So
Yes, I'll be in touch with them.
okay, very good. And with that, we've had a opening and vice chair, and we do have a volunteer for vice chair, and Melanie stepped down in the fall, and we do need to replace that in case I'm not available. So I'd like a motion to nominate a vice chair.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Elizabeth because she is the one that has been I have been under her.
Second that 1000%, Lawrence.
Elizabeth, you're being nominated. Do you want to do it?
I'd be happy to serve, but gosh, you better not be going anywhere because I'm not moving up the chair.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All righty, motion carries.
Action.
You'll get that vote.
So, okay, with that, again, we're going to wrap up today, and I'll see everyone next week at 9 o'clock on the 20th, Lord willing, and we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion been made in second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, this meeting is adjourned, and thank you everyone for your participation, and thank you all the county and planning and advisory and financial folks for making it so easy for us. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, team.